Nick, good morning. Good. Okay, let's go live. Let's turn my sound on first, though. Check, my microphone is on, yes. So I know you can hear me. Oh, make sure to get your battery chargers and your batteries, your phone batteries, and your devices ready, and we're... Okay, man. Cool. Here we go. Oh, let me go close the doors.
Prepare yourself.
Hello, everybody. Oh, my... Wait. I want to stop because my main camera's not on. So let me unplug it. This is so funny. And I probably just need to reinstall the software. And I just haven't done it yet. Whoa. Okay. There, let me just turn the camera. Properties. Deactivate. Activate. There we go. Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Hello, Nick. Good morning. Okay, let's start the show. I got to go close these doors out here. I'll be right back. Mom, you mind if I close these? You mind if I close the doors? Okay. Oh, I also have you noticed the front door is loose, the handle on the front door? Yeah, I got it. It's just a Phillips screw. I got it tight, but I got to remember to do it. Here we go. All us, man. This is all us, dude. It's all us. We got it closed off. I love this. I don't have to worry about pissing my mom off anymore, dude. Oh my God. Okay, great. Let's go. Josh G. Steve Running. Good morning. We'll start the show over. Let's start the song over again. We got this crazy 3-hour debate. I've only watched the first 5 minutes of it. And Destiny is on fire, guys. You guys are going to love it. Wait, no, I need to hear that first bass hit. Yes. Do.
Prepare yourself.
Bo.
Prepare yourself.
Yes.
Prepare yourself.
Line and take cash in your chips. You sniff little wine, self-loathing hypocrite. Blame it on Rio, all the woman in red. Don't fool yourself. It's all
Hey, we got the rumblers here. Look at the rumblers.
Look in the mirrors, count insecurity.
Good. Audio's good.
My eyes burn. My blood is numb, 'cause you'll never learn. You'll never learn. I bleed for you. You'll never learn. I bleed for you. You'll never learn. I bleed. Fuck you, Michelle Bachman. Fuck you. Lying and dying. As you read. Let's hear from your mouth.
Hype it up. Up.
Send up your low, some little line and take cash in your chips. You said let lying, self-loathing hypocrite. Blame it on Rio, all the woman in red. You might lose it, company.
It starts with an F.
Hello! Trendy's training everybody in live from Orlando, Florida. Home of Trendy has apps and all things trending. You can find me and the hashtag Trendy's on all forums, social media, especially on rumble.com/user/Nays Garden. The only place that gives us free speech is the Ox Project for Orlando, Florida. Dude, I nailed the intro. I nailed the intro. That feels good. I think that's the first one I got all the way through. In all the tries. There was no hesitation. There was no missing the time. I got everything fit in perfectly. And then as soon as I said, this is the Ox Project from Orlando, Florida, click over, there I am. Fuck you. It's perfect. It's perfect. Anyway, Nick, good to see you, buddy. I'm so glad you guys are here, Nick and Josh and Steve. Okay, great. We've got another Steve we're going to be watching. That's Steven, our favorite debater, Destiny, is going to be doing this debate. And for some reason, there's no controls when I put my mouse...
Hold on or anything, so...
Dude, until I actually press on a button, there's no controls. So they all go through and they introduce each other. They all introduce themselves. They're like, I'm Ed Krasin. I'm, whatever the other Krasin is. They're fucking idiots. But we'll hear them.
Or it was in the House of Representatives, 406 to 21. That was a statute to award the police officers.
Okay, let's go back. They were already talking.
My real life name is Steven, and I scream and shout at people on the internet for a living.
Next to this dude, we got Alex Jones. Alex, explain yourself.
Well, I don't think I probably needed much of an introduction, but I was there on January 6th, and I saw what happened. And so it's a very important discussion we're about to have tonight. I'm glad everybody came. We need to have more of this, not just left and right, but just different groups of people debating and discussing. I'm really glad that Zero Hedge and their great subscription service, people supporting it, is financing this. And so you're going to see a lot more of this, people supporting Zero Hedge.
And let me just tell you, it is incredible, Bitter. It is incredible and exciting to see Alex Jones and Destiny sitting next to each other getting ready to debate. That's exciting because these are two people that I've listened to for a long time. And of course, Alex Jones I've only listened to just to humor myself, but Destiny I've listened to pretty seriously. But I know they have completely opposing opinions, and I'm really excited. And the fact that they're sitting right next to each other, yes.
So I'm just honored to be here with you guys in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
His voice goes through stages. Alex Jones's voice goes through stages. It just depends, on how much yelling he's been doing.
Shout out to Zero Hedge. Great company. Great people, too. Really great people involved with the
And
company.
look,
to your left, my right, Darren.
Look at how huge Alex Jones is compared to little tiny Destiny. He makes Destiny look like a small boy. And look at how big Alex Jones is. It's crazy, right? I had no idea that Destiny was so tiny.
Happening, man.
Great to be here. Thank you. I'm Darren Beatty. I run a news site called Revolver.news, which is reported extensively on January 6th. And you can also see me on X at Darren J. Beatty.
And you're a Trump advisor and speechwriter.
Yes.
And a former professor. And you helped quarterback a lot of the groundbreaking stuff that Tucker Carlson put up.
Indeed.
So I'll sing your praises.
Thank you.
And we also have coming in remote live, Glenn Greenwald from your studio in Brazil. What's happening, Glenn?
Hey everybody, Glenn Greenwald. I'm a journalist. I'm the host of System Update on Rumble. I had planned to be there in person. A little logistical problems intervened. And
Okay, if there are any Glenn Greenwald fans out there in the audience, I'm going to tell you, the guy's a narrative toter, and he doesn't always keep it real. He doesn't always keep it above board, and Destiny is going to call his ass out bad on this. He's going to be like, answer the question, and Glenn won't answer the question. He's going to be like, oh, so Glenn won't answer my question. That happens at the very beginning. He does it to Alex Jones, too.
but I'm really looking forward to participating.
Destiny destroys everybody. Nobody can keep up with him. And it's one of the things I love about watching this shit. All these dudes think they're hardened debaters, hardened journalists, and podcasters, and they think they've all been around the block, and they know how to deal with this. And then Destiny comes in, and it's like, you guys got nothing, man. And they should all be watching Destiny.
I just want to echo Alex. I
Yeah,
think
it's
what Zero Hedge
gonna
is
be
doing
really
is so
good.
important in organizing
Hey, right
these
off the bat.
kind of substantive structure.
Dude, right out of the gate, this debate is just boom, man. I swear I got 7 minutes in, and I was like, whoa, dude, we got to watch this. Oh, my God. 7 minutes in, it's a 3-hour debate.
Debates among people who obviously disagree pretty strongly on things, and yet nonetheless can have what I hope will be a civil and spirited debate, what I expect it will be. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I appreciate being asked.
Yes, that is my job, is to make sure that it maintains.
Well, you know, Cat Williams makes a big deal, you know, and what are you going to do? It's some people, you know, it would be like if Dave Chappelle did something. It's these famous people have more say. But this is going to get ears on it, and a lot of people are going to hear this, and it doesn't matter because, you know, it doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't. It's just interesting, and it's great to watch, man, you know?
Structure, organization, and that we don't talk over each other, that we end up listening to each other. The real value of humanity, one of the most powerful tools we have, is communication. So I think tonight's going to be an exemplary example of that. Let's go for this. The first question I got for you guys, and this is really for the entire panel, and anyone that wants to start it off, maybe we can start with you, Edson, just because you're on the end and we can move around, is January 6th, 2021. Was it an insurrection? And before you answer,
And I'm just going to say, of course it was an insurrection. And that's, well, I've always told you that, right? After you watch Destiny explain it, if you had any doubts about my explanation and you hear Destiny explain it and you still have doubts, you might be toting a narrative for MAGA. Dude looks like Weird Al.
this is
He does.
This is
He's got a
actually
Weird Al
called,
shirt on, too.
It's called 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection.
Yeah, let me do an overhead shot. This is right out of Cornell Law here.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to start reading this. This is according to the U.S. Code. Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. It technically doesn't define insurrection. It's the code talking about what an insurrection is. Of course, they use the word insurrection in the actual code itself. But what do you think? Do you guys think it was an insurrection?
So,
You know, instead of starting with the statute, fucking dumbass Weird Al Yankovic should have started with the definition of insurrection. You know, not the fucking statute. You're arguing over a definition of a word. Look up the definition of the word. No one can argue that. This is so dumb. He's an idiot. So Weird Al Yankovic has already shown me he's an idiot because he didn't say, well, let's pull up the definition of the word. We're all going to debate the definition of a word. Let's see what the definition is. No. Let's just look at the statute because I'm an idiot. Okay, you're an idiot.
I personally
Great.
believe it was an insurrection. And I base that on the fact that
Okay. Well, the guy on the far left, that's one of the Krasensteins. Great. Okay, great. He's right. It was an insurrection, and there's no doubt that it was. Wait till Destiny's turn.
20 court decisions called it an insurrection. And the fact that there was a bill passed in the Senate that called them a mob of insurrectionists. I think the bill passed, or it was in the House of Representatives, 406 to 21.
Wow.
That was a statute to award
Seems
the
pretty
police
official.
officers medals. And it referred to these individuals as insurrectionists. So, I mean, I think the term can be subjective. I think, you know, people can say nobody was charged with violating Section 2383 of Title 18, which is insurrection and rebellion.
And that's weird because everyone should have been charged with that.
And nobody was, right?
That's weird.
But I don't think that
Weird.
defines whether the event was an insurrection. When I say insurrection, I don't mean everybody there was partaking in an insurrection. There were people who were peaceful. People who...
No, we
walked
talked,
into
my
the
girlfriend and I
Capitol
talked about, my future wife and I talked about this morning. And, you know, what I said was, if you were there, you were supporting in numbers. You didn't have to be the ones throwing hands. All you had to do was be there in the crowd. And unless you were videotapping, videographing, or blogging about it, because you were there to document what was going on, you were guilty of adding to the numbers. You were one of the insurrectionists. Fuck you.
I don't think that they were insurrectionists. I think they violated the law, but I don't
He's
think
wrong.
they were partaking in
He's
insurrection.
wrong.
I do
He's
think the
wrong.
Proud Boys
They were all
were
there.
partaking in insurrection.
They were all there supporting Donald Trump in stopping the steal. That is why they went to the Capitol, because they were there to stop the steal. They were there for an insurrection.
I think you could say Donald Trump incited the insurrection. I do.
Destiny, what do you think, man?
I would say the plot from start to finish is quite obviously an insurrection. The only way to get around that is to either justify an insurrection, which is what most conservatives do, they don't realize it, or to deny that an insurrection could ever happen, or if you're not aware of all the facts of what happened. I think that Donald Trump and his cronies had a very coherent plan that they tried to enact from start to finish, starting with false claims of voter fraud, leading to false
17
slates of
minutes.
electors that filed themselves as state electors.
17 minutes in, we're
perjury,
smoking,
which is
guys.
what they did, up to the violence that happened on the day of the certification of the vote, where Donald Trump and his friends continued to try to delay the peaceful transfer of power by contravening the certification of the Electoral College vote.
And what I want to make sure that we don't force this into like what they want to call a debate where you got to be called on or anything. So if any of you guys, Glenn, you as well, man, if any of you guys want to jump in.
Yeah, two of them just went. I want Glenn to go, but I just want to say something here. I was there, and I was investigated and subpoenaed by the Justice Department in at least 5 criminal investigations, and I was forced to testify in front of the JAN6th committee, which they've now been destroying their records because the records show the opposite of what they said. Trump
Bullshit.
and all of us had a stage rented by these.
Dude, you're a liar. The videos didn't show the opposite of what you said. Only Tucker Carlson's little lame fucking edited videos did that, you moron.
Supreme
No
Court.
longer going to get him a
He was
serious.
supposed to have another rally there. We showed up before Trump ever finished his speech. People were getting tear gas and hit by bullets. And there were a bunch of provocateurs leading an attack against the police, and they broke through. And then this 1 million+ people then got blamed as insurrectionists. And Biden gave a big speech yesterday saying they're all terrorists. So by that extension, Kamala Harris, as the VP candidate, was bailing people out of jail that burned down police stations and firebombed federal buildings. And the idea of Biden's speech yesterday, making his whole campaign about January 6th, saying political violence is never good. The Democrats are the ones that called for political violence. So I was there with a bullhorn, but I could only reach 100 yards out when the tear gas was hitting me, saying, don't go in, don't fight the police. This is a setup. And we have hundreds of videos. And so regardless of what the left tries to do, they're all out there of people taking off their hands and stuff and putting on the...
It's a setup. That's why the police were fighting to keep them out. And the police were severely outnumbered, and they gave their lives and their bodies to sit there and try to block those people from coming in. Alex Jones is fucking delusional.
The Trump guard and the police fake arresting people, attacking them, and then high-fiving them. I mean, this has all come out in the new footage, and it's all getting...
They fake arresting them? How were they fake
They would
arresting
grab them and arrest them, and then drag them in, and then high-five them, take the handcuffs off and high-five them. Those videos, when people are going to take everything I say, they're going to put it on X and show what I said. That's where we dominate. And so what I'm getting at here, let me say this. What I'm getting at here is, they now admit hundreds of federal officers were there. So when Trump started his speech, this whole thing began with Ray Epps saying, go into the Capitol. He told the
Ray Epps
committee, yeah, it's true.
Dude, we've already covered Ray Epps, and I'm just going to say it again. Ray Epps was some crazy man yelling on a street corner, and everybody was calling him a Fed, and nobody took him seriously at the time. So for him to try to credit Ray Epps, we've seen the video of Ray Epps being shunned by the MAGA. We've seen it. He got shunned, he got called a Fed, and nobody wanted to follow him to the Capitol. So what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Watch the video of Ray Epps. We watched it.
He told family, I orchestrated it. So under pressure, they finally indicted him, but only recommend 6 months. So a few hundred people got manipulated into fighting the police. They were led and driven by provocateurs and other groups. They were others. Then they opened the doors and the police wave them in hundreds of videos. They walk between the velvet ropes, and then they indict over 1,000 people that just walked through velvet ropes. And then now we're told in the National Security Directive of President Biden, the number one threat is the American people. And he had a
They walked through velvet ropes. They didn't run over bicycle racks and run over police officers and pummel police officers with flagpoles. No, they walked past velvet ropes, according to this fucking moron right here.
War yesterday against all Trump supporters and says to protect democracy, we're not going to let you vote for Trump.
Cheers,
so as Stalin
Bitter.
said, I care not
Cheers,
who
Josh.
casts the votes, I care who counts them. Well, Biden doesn't care who casts the votes, he cares who's allowed on the ballot. So we've already won. No one's buying this. And when this happened 3 years ago, the Wall Street Journal had to print a retraction, but they said I was there as a coward telling people to attack. Well, no, they wouldn't let me put the video on Twitter where I was saying don't go in. But the truth is, it's coming out. And So that's the bottom line here, and this attempt by Biden
What
to
the bottom line is?
cast the American people as the enemy. And all
The bottom line is that you weren't involved, Alex Jones. Are you fucking crazy? 1776 will commence again, my friend. If you try to grab our guns, dude, you're fucking crazy.
Martial law and civil war and race war. That's their only hope because the corrupt, evil Democratic Party and its evil twin, the Republicans, they've lost power and populism is.
Dude, look at
rising.
the
Quite
chat.
frankly, this was not an insurrection. It was insurrection that would have been gone.
Look at fucking. I guess this is Destiny's chat, but I'm not sure. Look at the fucking chat on this fucking thing.
And it's in the Declaration.
I don't know
of
whose channel
Independence
this
that
is.
It's our right and duty to get rid of a government that's
Oh,
destructive
This is Destiny's channel. Oh yeah, I think it's it's Destiny's chat. It's crazy.
What the people want. But I'm not calling for violence. We're winning this politically, but we're being cast as about to be violent the next 10 months because all these indictments and all these attacks to not let Americans vote for who they want aren't working and are
People in the audience are telling Destiny to interrupt Alex Jones.
backfiring. And all the big Democrat lawyers now admit it. Axelrod admits it.
They're like,
Harlan admits it.
moderator.
They all admit this attempt. Like
Where is the
Venezuela or
moderator?
something, to take Trump off the ballot when he's never been
He's just
convicted of
monologuing.
insurrection. This is a
Where's the
military
moderator?
tribunal,
Everyone in the
US
chat is
code
saying that.
From the Civil War. If a military tribunal found you were guilty
Moderator.
of being involved in
Moderator.
insurrection, that meant after the war ended.
Can I
then
ask you a
couldn't
question?
run for
Moderator.
office.
Alex,
That
can I
has
ask you a
nothing to do with it.
question?
Yeah.
So, do you think
You know what someone else said? Wow, nice debate.
the Confederates during the Civil War were partaking in insurrection?
I mean, in retrospect, because I wasn't alive then, I think the South got manipulated into that. I thought there was real issues between the North and South. The abolitionists, had a good point, and slavery needed to end. But it was really about the North.
So just to be clear, the person that's defending the J6 riders won't say that the Confederate States were engaged in insurrection.
Well, that's not what I see. Here's what happens.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Easy question.
No, hold on. That's not true.
That's what it sounded like you said.
No,
Will you
that-
correct the
no, no,
record? So do
that's
you think
not-
they were
no,
engaged
I
in
was
insurrection?
trying to talk, and the thing I said was I think the South was wrong, and then you just said that I support what the South did. No,
I didn't say you supported that. I said
No,
that you said that
no,
they
no,
weren't
no.
engaged in insurrection. Do you think the Confederate States were engaged in
Act
insurrection?
Was that because there were rebellions during Reconstruction at the end of the Civil War, and they were saying if you lead an uprising against the Northern occupation of the South, you're precluded from running from office because they were worried about Southerners getting office again, like Jefferson.
but
No, I do not support the Civil War or slavery, and I'm not a quote Confederate.
Okay, but
and
was
we're not
it an
really fighting that.
insurrection?
That's
Was
not
that,
what
that's
I
my,
said.
my question is, was it an insurrection? Yes or no?
Yes,
I have a,
if you were, no. The law, yes, I think
No,
that it was
no,
a
no.
civil
Yes.
war. You could say an insurrection.
okay,
no,
so is it insurrection? Did anybody get charged with insurrection rebellion?
What I'm saying is,
Violating statute. Did anybody
you're
get
not
charged?
listening.
No, I'm asking you. Just said it was insurrection. Did anybody get charged with violating the insurrection and rebellion statute?
yes, people did. You have
No,
to charge.
because there was no statute there. That's my point.
No, if
you
the
don't need to.
tribunal found that you
You don't need to violate that statute in order to be partaking in insurrection, because the Civil War was an insurrection,
Okay, well, you
and
don't-
nobody got
No,
charged with
you're
violating
not
that.
listening. This
No,
came-
that's what
this
I'm
came at the
saying.
end of the Civil
That's
War
my point, Alex.
and Reconstruction.
You're changing the subject. because you know
Let's
it's correct.
Changing the subject.
Party lawyers on CNN's.
You're straw manning already because you know that you have to fight a losing battle, because you know it was an insurrection, because you were there and you basically told everybody to subvert the election, Alex. So you're part of the insurrection and you're trying to defend it. And that's all you guys are witnessing right now. Is he's trying
You
to
have to be
he's trying to convince everybody that he's
convicted
innocent.
under the 14th Amendment of this before you can be. You can't just
You don't get
because
convicted
a
under the 14th
congressional-
Amendment.
hold
You get
on.
convicted
Okay,
under
hold
Section
on. So
23.
He's petrified that shit is going to come back around to him, and he is going to get charged with insurrection, and he is going to be found guilty, and they have all the evidence they need to do it. That's why he's on there. He's trying to sow the seeds of doubt.
83 of
You
Title
hold on.
18.
Well, let's slow down a little.
A congressional resolution to give awards to Capitol Police is not a conviction of Donald Trump to remove him from the ballot. He's been indicted for saying they stole an election. So now they want to take him off the ballot so
be
you
clear, he
can't
hasn't
vote
been
for him,
indicted
which
for
is
that.
pure stealing of an election.
I think
this is not. He's
But-
the Yankee. He's not somebody in Georgia. He's not Robert E. Lee. This has nothing to do with
I know,
it.
but
Also, as
my
a quick
point,
fact check,
you-
on the 14th Amendment, it doesn't require a conviction under Section
Yeah, I
3.
got-
You
I
can
got it.
literally put it on the text on the screen. There's
No.
it does not say needs to be
I
convicted.
guess we need to define
So
the
no-
difference. Alex, 1 second. We need to define the difference between the casual term insurrection and the legal definition of insurrection.
yes.
Well, there's
Wow.
another thing we need to.
Are you fucking kidding me? How far into this debate are we? 15 minutes in. And douchebag fucking Weird Al Yankees dick finally comes up with the idea that, oh, you know what we should do? We should look up the definition of the word that we're going to debate without knowing what the definition is. And we're going to debate the definition, and we're not going to look up the definition. 15 minutes later, he's like, God, I'm sick of hearing these people argue. What are we talking about? Oh, the definition of insurrection. Oh, maybe we should just look up the word. Hey, man, maybe I should be the one running the fucking debate. We would have gotten this taken care of 15 minutes ago. That's all I'm saying. God.
So, yes, there's the casual term. There's the etymology of the term insurrection, which simply suggests a rising up. So by that definition, that could encompass a wide range of things.
Black Lives Matter.
Wait. So there's a rising up. Then there's the legal definition, but we have politically weaponized court systems, so that's not even, I think, a proper standard. I think the proper standard is the sweep of a proper historical perspective. Does the event of January 6th compare to the antecedent that we've been discussing, the Civil War? So if the question is, is Civil War an insurrection? My question is the scope
doesn't
and
relate.
scale of
He's
the
right.
event of January 6th
He's right.
comparable to the Civil War?
And he
Because
makes a good
Joe
point,
Biden-
but he's taking away from what the moderator just said is we need to discuss the actual definition of insurrection. And now this douchebag is not even listening to the moderator and going off on trying to compare the Civil War to the January 6th, which are not comparable. Not the same thing. The Civil War wasn't fought over a vote.
Biden has directly made this comparison, which I think is flatly ridiculous, and that comparison has to be valid in order for these ridiculous Section 3 arguments to have any force or legitimacy. And I think any common
lie on
sense...
its face. It's a lie. I'm going to shut up. It's a lie on its face. They say it's bigger than Pearl Harbor and 9/11. That is bull.
Okay, so here, let me.
Dude, I feel so bad for Destiny right now having to sit next to Alex Jones while Alex Jones is just fucking going full on Alex Jones. Dude, that's got to be I don't even know if I would be comfortable sitting next to Alex Jones while he's doing that shit. Even if I was sitting next to him doing my shit. Dude, I can just imagine what that's like. Holy shit, dude. That guy puts off so much bad energy. And at the same time, there's something about him. He's kind of likable. He's kind of lovable, actually. There's something about him. And you'll see it later when him and Destiny get into it. And you'll be like, dude, there's a really healthy chemistry going on right there. You know? You'll see.
Let me finish what my point.
Yeah, do that, and then I want to go to Glenn for a second.
So my
after you do
point
that.
is that two things.
I like
The Civil
Destiny's
War
just
was an
ignoring him, just
insurrection.
writing
I think it's
shit.
hard to argue that. Nobody got charged with a crime of violating the insurrection and rebellion statute 2383. What about 19?
So Billy Bong Thornton says, hey, we've got a chat, everybody. We've got a chat. Woo, 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 woo. Somebody said something in the chat, everybody, and it's about what we're talking about. Billy Bong Thornton, no, it's Josh G. Wait, where are we? No, Billy Bong Thornton. Billy Bong Thornton, everybody. Billy Bong Thornton, everybody. Yes, Billy Bong. This is what Billy Bong says, everybody. Billy Bong says, so what if you were there watching the Trump speech? Still getting charged for insurrection are the people who went in the White House. I don't understand your question, Billy Bong. Try to explain that to me. I don't know what are you asking a question? Or are you just saying, so what if you were there watching the Trump speech? You're still getting charged for insurrection or the people who went in the White House. I got you. I see what you're saying, Billy.
92, the LA riots. George Herbert Walker Bush, he invoked the Insurrection Act. 12,000 people were arrested. 63 people were killed. hundreds were injured. Was that an insurrection? What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, it's a declaration of federal martial law.
But was it an insurrection? Because nobody there was charged with violating. Nobody there was charged with violating Section 2383, the Insurrection and Rebellion Statute. But we still consider that an insurrection, right?
I mean, by that yardstick, Kamala Harris bailing out people that firebomb federal buildings.
That is
Glenn,
not true.
Glenn, talk to me. You have something to say.
Yeah, I actually think what Destiny and what Ed are saying are very important. First of all, I was going to say that I think one of the problems with how these things are debated is that a lot of people these days have very binary prisms for understanding things. A lot of it comes from YouTube debate where you have to declare yourself on one side or the other. So Destiny said, oh, everybody either hates this insurrection, thinks it's an insurrection, or they deny it happens, or they think it's good. And there's so much middle ground. Namely that, for me, this was a political protest that spilled over into a riot where a small minority of the people engaged in violence. I don't think we want to urge that to happen. We don't want to defend that. I consider that lamentable. But the fact that it's laughable to call this an insurrection is actually demonstrated by the examples that they're using. This was a 3-hour riot that was extremely easily subdued. It doesn't remotely compare to any prior insurrections, let alone to the Civil
Michael
War.
Askey, what's up?
The only people who were killed on January 6th were 4 people, all 4 of whom were Trump supporters, 2 of whom dropped dead of a heart attack and 1 from a speed overdose, because these were not exactly a well-trained militia. And when JAN6th went to charge Donald Trump with multiple crimes, he had a lot of options to charge him with, and he charged him with a lot of crimes, including very dubious ones. He did not charge him with inciting an insurrection for reasons that I think we ought to ask ourselves why. But the fact that this is such a minor event in history.
He just said that we should ask why he wasn't charged with insurrection. Now what's Glenn going to say?
Is demonstrated by the fact that the media, who needed this to be a major event, immediately started lying about what happened, saying that Brian Sicknick was murdered when he had his head bashed in through a fight with a fire extinguisher, only to learn that actually he called his mother that night. He was fine. He died the next day of what the coroner said were natural causes, because the media knew that if you can't say that even one person supposedly perpetrating the insurrection killed anybody, pulled out a gun, let alone discharged the weapon, all of which is true, it's a joke to call this an insurrection.
Bullshit, dude. Does an insurrection have to include a weapon? So let's do this. Let's do this. You kidnap the President of the United States. One person. You kidnap the President of the United States and you hold the President hostage. One person. You didn't use a gun. Maybe you're one of those UFC trained, military, you know how to use your hands, whatever. You fucking didn't use a gun. Let's just say you kidnap the president. You're one dude. You throw him in your car. And you tell the president, you lock the door and you say, if you move, I'm going to break your arm or whatever. And you hold him somewhere. No one knows where you are. Right? And you hold him as a hostage, and you tell the United States government that you want something changed, and it doesn't matter what the fuck it is. Are you guilty of an insurrection? Should we, since these morons haven't looked up the definition, and we already have, but let's go ahead and do it again. Let's look up the definition of the word insurrection and just get this handled, right? Insurrection, a violent uprising against an authority or government. Well, it doesn't say there has to be a gun. It doesn't say there. And do you guys want me to put this up on the screen so you can see it, so there's no there won't be any question? Insurrection. Look, you guys, why didn't they just do this? Instead of listening to Glenn Greenwald's stupid ass, he's a moron. And you're going to listen to Smart Nay, who knows what the fuck is up, right? Of course, I got this right, while he's got it wrong. Insurrection is a violent uprising against an authority or government. Was there violence? Well, yeah, I saw people beating police with flagpoles. It was violent. Were they uprising against an authority or government? Yeah, they were. They were trying to stop the steal. They were trying to stop the steal. There's no question about it. How is Glenn Greenwald so fucking dumb? And let me hear from you in the chat right now. I want to hear from all of you in the chat right now. Do you guys agree with me on this one? Can I get some support from all of you right now in my chat? I'd love to see my chat move. That would be great. Am I making sense here?
And that's the reason why Trump hasn't been charged
It
with
was an
insurrection.
insurrection. There's no doubt. Says Bitter. Thank you, Bitter. Haskey totally agrees. Thank you, Michael.
There should be violence or not was when he said the following. He said, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He urged them to be peaceful.
Look at Destiny's
in how
chat.
they went there. To the extent there was violence, I think you can make the argument
Thank
that the
you, Josh
FBI
G.
informants
Look at
that even the New
Destiny's
York
chat.
Times admits were there were the ones that urged it. But even if the people who were there were the ones responsible, at best this is a riot. You could so easily make the case that the 2020 riots was a far greater insurrectionary threat than anything that happened on January 6th.
That's perfectly said. I would ask I would ask the left over here. I know Ian's asked the questions. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys see Biden's speech? I mean, it was an hour long that no one there was good. They were all there. Over a million people. I was there. And then we marched down there to have another rally, and then I see this terrible thing happening. It was medieval, and then Biden saying they're all bad, and we can't let you vote for Trump. I mean, come on, man.
We have a clip from Biden's speech I want to play, and then let's get back to you, Destiny. You had something to say, but if you guys have this, it's clip number 4, Biden's speech. This is from yesterday's. It's only 50 seconds, but let's load this up. Not sure what
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce political violence. So hear me clearly.
I hate when it says. I hate when people say that shit.
Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never, never.
The Democrats.
It has no place in a democracy. None. You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. You know, Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it.
The insurrection is the open border.
So the insurrection was not just the 3-hour riot that happened at the White House afterwards. I think that's the least terrible reading for everything that happened.
It's
And
not.
that's
It's not. I haven't seen this yet, but it's not about the guns. It's not about people getting killed. It's about the planning, the plotting. It's about the people who bust people in. It's about Donald Trump coming with the idea that I won this election, and I'm going to convince everybody that they need to, go and fight for me. And if you don't fight, you lose your goddamn country. You know?
The charges that either JAN6th or the Georgia RICO case has.
I mean, Alex
against
Jones
Trump
is
are
guilty
saying
of
that,
inciting
in fact,
people.
Not much of the focus is on the 3-hour riot at all. Not much of that.
Hold on, Alex. Let Stephen finish his thought first.
So not much of those indictments are actually focusing on the 3-hour riot itself. The unprecedented act that there is no answer for, that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton have not engaged in, is using knowingly false election claims for months to try to pressure state electors to change their vote. And then when they wouldn't do that, beg them to elect different electors. And then when they wouldn't do that, create a plot to create fake electors. And then when Pence wouldn't accept that, try to capitalize on that final 3
They called him a meth
riot at
warrior.
the Capitol building to also make phone calls and tell people to decertify their
They're like
vote
he's
or to switch
cooking.
their electors.
JFK
That is
and
the issue.
Obama
That is the
had
issue.
alternate electors.
JFK,
No, they didn't.
JFK's
No, they
story
didn't.
was completely
No, they
different.
didn't.
I can explain that if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Right.
Yeah. So in 1960, I
1960.
believe. So in 1960, JFK and Nixon, there was a dispute because there was a recount. I think JFK ended up winning by like 150 votes. At the time, each state decided to certify two sets of electors, or decided to choose two different slates of electors.
Depending on how it went.
But
they were certified by the states.
They were in the middle of a recount.
Well, Trump tried to get it certified.
None were certified yet. Neither slate was. What happened with Trump was that Trump tried to get the states to certify a second slate of electors based off of conspiracy theory crap that
None of the
the election was
courts would hear
stolen.
this
Hold on.
They did.
He took it to
No,
court.
they didn't. They
62
refused to use the
cases.
courts.
That's not
30
true.
cases were looked at on merit.
So are they
They were
taking
all
him
shut
off the
down.
ballot now?
That's a separate.
Well, that's a separate-
Take him off the ballot. Is a
They're not
separate.
taking him off.
Okay, so-
Is the not purest form of election theft is taking someone off the ballot?
Alex, let's get back to the 1960s really fast. So what happened was that they did a recount, and Kennedy ended up winning by, I think, 150 votes, and they chose the Kennedy electors. They certified the Kennedy electors, and Kennedy ended up winning that state.
That's what Trump said.
What Trump did was Trump tried to get the states to certify an alternate slate of electors. They refused because the court said there's no they are there. And then when that didn't go through, Trump decided to get his own slate of electors above the states that were not certified and tried to use that to force Mike Pence to say that Joe Biden didn't win these electoral votes.
I just need to interject really quickly. So if we want to be precise in terms of the scope of the debate, I think it's about January 6th. And so the lead up to it might be relevant to some of the criminal indictments, but it's technically speaking outside the scope of the January 6th discussion.
Is
But
this worse
if
than
we're
Pearl
gonna
Harbor?
if we're gonna bring it into the discussion, I think there's an operative word there, knowingly. And that's operative within the context of the charging documents. But the idea that Trump thought that he lost the election and he was knowingly lying and knowingly engaging. No, he believes, I guarantee it, whether you believe it or not, Trump believes that the election was stolen, and he was using the legal recourses available to him at the advice of his legal advisors.
That is not true. Most of his legal advisors said that this idea was crazy.
Well, no, but he had legal advisors who were telling him.
If you search hard enough, you can find anybody to validate an opinion. But what you've just done is what I opened with, which is saying he thought the election was stolen, therefore he was justified to engage in insurrection.
But is it right to take him off the ballot? Since you don't want to debate January 6th,
that's for the Supreme Court to decide. That's for the Supreme Court to decide.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling you, that's for the Supreme Court to decide. According to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it's
why does
if a
the United
president
States
has engaged
sanction
in
countries that take people off the ballot?
What? That's not even remotely relevant here.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, you know what the United States usually.
We have independence. If we do insurrection, you know it.
Let's bring it. Be for things like circumventing the vote, like asking the vice president, for instance, to unilaterally win the election.
So
that would be something that we might.
The Krasinski's are like, "Go, Destiny." They're both like, "Let him spot. Let the man speak." He's making sense. It's so funny.
If you don't like the Constitution, that's your fault, Alex. If you don't like the Constitution, that's on you. Really? Then why are you saying that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Alex, why did you say that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Can we put the text on stream?
I would love to do that, actually.
Stream.
Because you keep saying.
All right, guys.
Military tribunals.
I don't care what it's based on.
Jesse's voice cracked. I loved it.
That's why no one was.
Put it
Because it
in
was
Amendment
bullshit
14.
then.
Let's hear from Glenn.
We'll slow down. This is a great conversation. Glenn's about to drop some knowledge.
I'm dominating.
I dropped knowledge on top of all of you, and all I did was I just put the fucking definition of the words you guys have all been arguing about now for 27 minutes, you guys. They've been arguing over a word that all they had to do is look up the definition, and they could see it. They could just look at it. Oxford Languages, a violent uprising against an authority or government. Doesn't say anything about guns, doesn't say anything about anybody getting killed. An insurrection is violent and it's against the authority or government. And it doesn't even say it has to be political, motivated of any. It doesn't even say that. It's just that's what an insurrection is. You know, it's really vague because, you know, insurrections come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And if it's violent and if it's against the authority or government, it's an insurrection. There you go. It's really simple.
So, Glenn's in remote from Brazil. So, Glenn, anytime you have something,
I have a feeling there could be an insurrection at a college over some kind of a fucked up policy, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's happened before.
Say it's helpful for me if I see a visual cue. Maybe your hand goes up. I can tell you have something you're going to say now. But let us know.
Let me just say, what happens is when you gather together to debate a particular question, You're supposed to debate that particular question. The particular question that we were presented with is we're going to debate January 6th and whether it was an insurrection. Now, I don't blame.
Yeah, was January 6th an insurrection? Let's define insurrection. A violent uprising against an authority or government. Was January 6th a violent uprising against an authority or government? That's it. It's so simple. And they're 27 minutes and they still haven't even just pulled up the definition.
And Ed, for not wanting to debate that, for wanting to debate a whole set of other issues about whether Trump acted improperly, whether he was naughty, and the things he did after the election, because there is no argument to make that what happened on January 6th rises to the level of insurrection, and that's why an
Alex Jones's problem here is that his guns have no ammunition in them. You know, it's all straw man.
Extremely aggressive prosecutor named JAN6th decided not to charge Donald Trump with that crime because he knew there was no way that he could possibly bring a conviction against anybody, let alone Donald Trump, who told everybody to be peaceful when going to the Capitol, about whether or not that was actually...
He also said you got to fight like hell and you've got to stop the steal. Glenn, why don't you mention those two statements? Why don't you say, I'm going to march down there with the Capitol with you? Why don't you say that he did nothing for 4 hours while it happened? He watched it on TV monitors for 4 hours and did nothing, thus taking part in it by letting it occur, by not speaking out and putting an end to it.
That rose to that level.
And lo and behold, when he finally did make that statement, the crowds finally backed off.
Colloquial sense, what we called an insurrection in the past is in a completely different universe. But on the issue of whether there was a real belief on the part of Donald Trump that elections were stolen, I don't understand how anybody could doubt that, aside from the fact that you have to get into Trump's head. In the last 3 elections that Democrats lost, in 2000, 2004, and 2016...
So he's claiming he can get into Trump's head. You hear the hypocrisy there? Do you hear the hypocrisy behind claiming that people that can't get inside Trump's head, you don't know what he was thinking? Let me tell you what he was thinking. You are so pompous and hypocritical and stupid, Glenn. You're a fucking hack. You probably cheated on your tests to get through fucking school.
A very large number of Democrats believed and asserted that the election was stolen and was the byproduct of fraud, and the president was, as a result, illegitimate. When I started writing about politics in 2005, the idea that George Bush was the real loser of the election, Al Gore won, was the view of every single liberal and Democrat that I knew.
You know, last I checked, the definition of insurrection didn't have anything to do with what the beliefs of the insurrectionists were inside their heads at the time they were committing violence against the government. So it doesn't matter what the people believe, Glenn. It's not part of the definition of the word we're debating. You idiot! I need to calm down.
Claiming that Karl Rove had
Look, I need to go to my happy place.
In the Ohio vote with the debold machines and cheated to make John Kerry lose and George Bush win. And then in 2016,
shut up, Glenn. I need to calm down. Just shut up. Listen to the pleasant waters of the waterfall as it soothes and calms us all, and brings us down from a boil to just a mere simmer as the people applaud me. Yes, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, yes. Oh, and Billy Valentine is in the audience. Yes, everybody. Yes, for Billy. Let's applaud for Billy. Billy, yay! Billy. Perfect, yes, I whistled over the loop cut. I witnessed an insurrection on Parson and Bar and Circus. My biological father was beating performers for botching performances one day. Troop beat the hell out of him and removed him. That's an insurrection. There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, so the mic settings. Okay, I got you.
That Donald Trump was the illegitimate winner, that Russia had helped him, and they tried to convince the Electoral College to abandon the certified results of the state. Obviously, you go back to 1960, and a lot of historians believe that election was stolen. So it's not like Donald Trump was the first person to ever wonder.
It doesn't matter what Donald Trump wondered, Glenn. It doesn't matter. Can I hear from my chat? Let me know if you agree with me that it doesn't matter what Donald Trump or anybody else believed while they're committing violence against the government for it to be an insurrection. Let me know, please, right now in the chat. I would love to see more than just 2 people talking right now. if that's possible. Please?
An election was stolen.
This is a 3-hour video, guys. I want to see people participating. Please.
From him. It's a very significant tradition in American political history, if you know anything about politics before 2016. And if Trump believed that the election was stolen, and while it's true, a lot of people in the Justice Department,
Doesn't
and a lot
matter.
of people in the White House told them they didn't think it was. He did have advisors and lawyers telling him that they think there was evidence of it. Then the
Okay, Michael Haskey. Does it matter what Donald Trump thought in his head, whether or not that makes it an insurrection or not? Michael Haskey, I'm asking you. Does it matter? Does it matter whatever he was thinking when he told people to go down to the Capitol and that if they had to fight like hell or their government was going to be taken away from them, their freedom would be taken away? He said, you've got to fight like hell. He says, I'm going to march down to the Capitol with you. Does it matter what he was thinking in his head? Does it matter whether he believed his own bullshit or not? Does it matter? Michael Haskey, I'm asking you. If a robber thinks the owner of a store owes him, it's still an armed robbery. Not exactly. That's an easy one, right? Thank you, Billy. Billy Ballantyne. He's the only one participating in my chat right now. Josh says, no, it doesn't matter. Thank you, Josh. No, it doesn't matter what's going. Please, everybody fast forward the video. Everybody, please fast forward the video and catch up with me in real time. If you're looking at your thing and you're lagging behind, drag the thing over, hit live. Come on, everybody catch up, man. Please. I really like to see more chat.
question is over, even on these other issues about whether or not Trump engaged in some conspiracy against the United States. But the issue is January 6th an insurrection?
Well, that's right. But I mean, Glenn, since they've let's one thing, Destiny, and these guys haven't talked to you.
They fucking muted Glenn. Did you see that?
Here's Professor Beatty.
Wow.
Hillary was in videos 2 days ago saying Trump's going to steal this election. So why are they allowed to say it? It's free speech. You don't get indicted for it.
Trump didn't get indicted for that.
Oh my God. They indicted him and they put it in the charging thing in Georgia saying he has the election. You're hoping people don't read the documents.
You can go read it. It's a RICO case. There's a bunch of behavior that is within a RICO case.
Oh my God.
It's self-illegal. That's the point of a RICO case.
Yeah, right.
Can I talk about the differences? So Bush versus Gore, what happens? The Supreme Court ruled and Gore conceded. He stopped saying this election was stolen. He stopped saying I won.
That was Supreme Court.
Yes.
Did Gore refuse to certify the vote? I don't remember. Did he do that?
The vote was certified.
He didn't have an alternate slate of electors?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
after Trump wanted a Supreme Court hearing. Trump wanted the same thing.
62 cases were brought before judges.
God,
and you said earlier none of them were based on
explosive.
evidence. 6 of them were based on standing. 6 out of the 62.
They wouldn't even hear it. I saw
Do you know
it.
how many of them were Trump-appointed judges that made those rulings? 17.
So six of them. Let me finish here. 6 of them were based on standing. 4 of those that were based on standing, the judge also analyzed the merits and said there was no evidence or insufficient evidence. So only 2 of them, and that was Texas versus Pennsylvania and Gomert versus Pence. Do you know what those 2 cases were?
No,
Texas
I know what the cases are.
Texas tried suing.
No, I agree with you. Biden says inflation's fine right now. I agree with him.
Let me finish. Texas tried suing Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, several other states, saying that the election was stolen. And the judge said, no, Texas can't sue these other states. Somebody in that state who was affected had to sue them. Now, the other case was Gomert versus Pence. He challenged the Electoral Counts Act of 1807, saying that Pence could overturn the election. He said that
I think that's wrong. I agree with you. I think that was a wrong legal
those
theory.
are only 2 that were
No,
based
I
solely
agree with you on
standing.
that. So, but what I'm saying is, then if Biden's going to win so big, why can't Trump be on the ballot?
That's not up for Biden to decide. That's
What?
Up for the
Oh, no,
Supreme Court to
Biden
decide.
said he wants him off the
It
ballot.
doesn't
You
matter
just
what Biden
changed
said.
the whole
Biden
fucking-
decides that.
Trump lost. That's why he can't have his race car on the track. Yeah, this horse is going to lose, so it can't be in the race. Bull crap.
Who do you think has the authority then to determine
crap.
the interpretation of Amendment 14?
Man, I know the State Department.
Why can't
runs
you answer a
the
single
State
question?
Department.
Why not just answer
No,
one
you
question?
just keep saying
I'm just asking a simple question. Who has the authority
The
ultimately to decide
president
it?
has not.
The president
even
has the authority to
even
decide
on CNN,
matters of constitution?
You don't let me talk.
Because you won't answer the
Yeah,
question.
let Alex.
The president has not been
He's gonna ramble.
convicted,
He's not gonna
even on
answer anything.
CNN.
Bonsai. Billy just said, check this out, everybody. Billy just said in the chat, he said, Destiny's too afraid to disagree with Alex. He's too close. Dude, Destiny, this is 3 hours, bro. We're only an hour. We're only a half hour in. So there's 2.5 hours left of this. Destiny's not afraid of Alex Jones at all. And he looks him right in the face and fucking destroys him, bro. Watch.
Analysts say that you have to be convicted. So, Destiny, you can sit there and have blue hair and be trending and make all these, like, the moon is made of cheese. I'm Destiny.
Does the
He's
word
not,
convicted-
every American knows you don't lose your rights when you're not convicted. He's not been convicted. And here's the good news. It's backfiring. People, we have the Declaration of Independence, and we can vote for who we want to.
No, you can't.
Well,
you can't vote for 135.
You can't vote for
non-citizens.
But
Can you?
Nobody stole an election.
Can you
but
vote
you
for
can't vote for who you want.
Can you vote for
Nobody
anybody you
stole
want
an
to? Or are there
election.
restrictions on
But
who
you
you can
can't vote for who you want.
I think we just-
Nobody stole an
we-
election.
we-
But you can't vote for who you want.
We just beat this into the ground. Alex, I need you. We just crushed this one into the ground, but I want to ask the question in a slightly different way. Was this an attempted coup? Do you guys think this was an attempted coup?
Of course it was.
The
Obviously it was.
The Hunter Biden laptop.
So we never finished whether or not this was an insurrection, and now dumbass fucking dick in mouth just came up with a different question without finishing the last one and never coming to any kind of a conclusion and allowing Alex Jones to just completely derail the whole thing and never just answer the question of was this an insurrection or not. Oh my God.
Organization
Hillary
hearings,
Clinton's
the
emails,
censorship,
Russia
that,
gate,
there's no
COVID,
Russian connection. That's all.
mRNA vaccines.
Take your extra. I want you to take all the shots.
Global warming.
Hey, how many shots you got?
Destiny's doing Alex Jones. I love it, bro. Go Destiny. Holy shit.
None yet. You want to take some?
No, I hope you
I
take
just
them
want you
all.
to answer one question about any of
I
this.
want to see you take them all.
The frogs are gay.
Talk about the
yourself.
I'm
Democrats
telling you,
more than they were
they're going to
Democrats.
come, and they're going to take away your freedom. 1776 will commence again. You try to take our guns away.
The immune system and doesn't protect you. So you do that little one-liner there.
Trying to protect
You're
me.
just ready to-
Trying to take away my Democrat.
Yeah, let's stay back. All right, guys, back to topic. Darren.
But Brian has an answer. So
about-
is it a coup? That's the question.
Yeah, that's
so.
the-
An insurrection.
I think it can be debated
Or an
that
attempted
it was
coup,
a coup.
an attempted
Definitely, I would say it's an attempted coup. And a
Look,
federal judge.
So let's look up the definition of coup now. Okay? A sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government. So that's literally what they wanted to do. They wanted to take the power away from the government to decide the election and decide it themselves. That's literally what they wanted to do. It's literally a coup, guys. There's no question about it. It says a sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government. The government at that time was completely powerless. Their power was seized at the Capitol. And that is exactly what those people did. It's not even debatable. These definitions and this topic, it's non-debatable as far as I'm concerned. And I hope that's why, 2 or 3 of you are choosing to watch my show while, Alex Jones has millions of viewers,
More with
Alex, hold.
District Judge, U.S. District Judge David
But I guess
Carter
people can watch
actually
Destiny if they want.
evaluated the Trump Eastman scheme. And he said...
It's all the
We got
same,
some
right?
news. I'm not interrupting you.
No.
Hours after.
I
know, dude.
But we had Glenn.
Dude, the fucking blue hair thing, dude. That was great, dude. It was great. Like he'd been watching Destiny, getting ready, boning up, Trump thought he was Jack Sparrow.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
So the federal judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter, evaluated the Trump Eastman scheme.
Another lawyer.
Which we can go into later. But basically, he said that it was quote a coup in search of a legal theory. This is a federal judge. So a judge.
We have a
says
CIA coup over America. Hey, the CIA killed Kennedy?
God damn it, Alex.
Oh, my God.
Stop it, man.
Something
Subverting the conversation.
No, it's not a new theory of mine. No, the whole thing is a big rotten. So they can find partisan. They found the Secretary of State of Maine took Trump off the ballot because she had one hearing in a YouTube video. Are we ruled by this lady? Can we not vote for who we want?
So one of the I guess defenses against it being a coup.
Oh wait, here we got Glenn. Glenn speaking. Go for it, man.
I actually want to ask a question that I would love to hear everybody's answer to. But before I do that, just want to say about federal judges, this year, in the last 6 months, 4 different federal judges, a district court judge, and then an appellate court unanimously found that the Biden administration gravely violated the First Amendment. In fact, the greatest assault on free speech,
Okay.
the court said in decades, maybe the history of the judiciary, by
Okay.
systemically pressuring big tech to censor the internet and purge it of all dissent
Okay.
by threatening
Yeah.
big tech companies using the CIA,
Okay.
the FBI, and the CDC with
Okay.
punishment if they didn't censor the internet. Now, you may
Okay.
not agree, but according to your standard, 4 different federal judges concluded that, which is infinitely worse in terms of an abridgment of freedom or an attack on the Constitution than anything that Trump is accused of doing.
That's
but in
not
terms
true.
of whether
Well, he might have a debatable point there that it might be worse, but he's just doing whataboutism. We're not talking about that, Glenn. We're talking about something else. You know, and he might have an arguable point there. Yeah, I mean, I think a one-day seizure of government power, which was, squashed and ended in one day, is far less, even with the death of someone, is far less extreme than what the Biden administration did with our speech on social media. Yeah, that's a great point, Glenn, and it's got nothing to do with our conversation. You know, what Hitler did was worse. It's like, who cares what was worse, dude? Unrelated. I'll say once again, unrelatable point.
Digital insurrection by the deep state. Digital insurrection.
Can I put a pin
All right,
on
guys.
something real quick? I just want it to be noted.
Hold up, everybody, hold up. Glenn, please finish your point, and then we're going to move on to the response.
The question I want to ask is, the question that you asked, Ian, is this a coup? If you look at how other coups are perpetrated, and I think a lot of this is that if you're an American and you have this very soft history, you don't know what a coup is, you think that like what CNN tells you a coup is a coup. Usually the way coups work is the leader of the country, or whoever is in charge of the military, orders the military to seize control of the levers of power. Trump was the commander-in-chief on January 6th. The military was duty-bound to obey his orders. They had a right to disobey if they were illegal, but if this were a coup, why didn't Trump order the military to seize control of the power and turn over the election process to him? Why didn't he order the armed factions that form the law enforcement part of the military and the executive branch that serve under his command to do that as well? That's what
I'm gonna
happens
go make
in a
more
coup.
coffee.
That
I'll be
didn't
right
happen
back.
here because Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup.
He wanted the Department of Defense to seize voting machines, and the DOJ turned him down and told
Well,
him.
the worst thing he did was try to take Biden off the ballot. Remember when Trump said Biden cannot run and have the Justice Department take Biden off the ballot? Oh, God, that was Biden. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was having a moment there.
To reiterate, also, Biden doesn't have the authority to do that. He still doesn't have
Only
the
his
authority
Lord
to
and
do
Savior
that.
JAN6th, I guess.
The Supreme Court that Trump has his picks on, that's currently 6-3 conservative, they're the ones who are going to make the final decision on that. I wanted to be known that every single time you try to talk about any of the stuff related to Trump, it's so many Democrat names that comes out of people's mouths. I don't know why people can't just engage on the facts of what happened on and in the events leading up to Jan6th and insurrection without having to invoke every other Democratic leader's name.
No name calling.
No, his name's Ding Dong. Ding Dong, Destiny, whatever it is. The point is, I was there. There was over a million people, and they said police are attacking, and we got there and like shooting tear gas, and then a bunch of feds helped break through with some idiots that got mad, had a brawl, and then the cops go, "Come on in, everybody, come on in."
So Alex,
so there's everybody sees those videos now.
Okay, so
call this the new Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11. 3,000 people. Do you disagree? Let me ask you this: do you disagree with them claiming this was worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11?
I think it depends how you ask that question. I would say no, it's not worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11.
What are you basing on it? Are you basing?
No, I get it. Trying to take people's votes away is sacrosanct, but you're trying to take the vote for Trump.
There's an unprecedented that a president of the United States would do everything within his power to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to the next president.
He said, I want you to peacefully march down to the Capitol.
That is a uniquely horrible event. The march to the Capitol, what was bad was him watching the riot happen for 3 hours and doing nothing.
No, it took him. It was the riot was happening. He spoke for an hour and a half. It started then. Then he got back to the White House, watched it like 30, 40 minutes, and then shot a video.
No, you're lying. He got back to the White House. Mark Meadows delivered a note on his desk that Ashley Babbitt had been shot and he sat there sipping Diet Coke for an hour and a half. The guy that you called your leader.
The way they run
how
these
many
headlines, I was there.
How many pardons did Trump do for the patriots that got unfairly charged with crimes and
Listen,
convicted in the
infamy,
Capitol?
I was there.
Why didn't Donald Trump pardon any of those people?
They
Why didn't
say,
Donald Trump pardon
I've
any of
seen
those
the
people?
timelines. You can
There's
use
not
your
going to be.
false.
There's not
you
going to
can
be
use
an
your-
answer
I know
to
you're scared
this
of me talking.
because there's
You
not.
can
You're
use your
scared
false
to answer any
timelines.
questions.
They claimed in their
Trump betrayed
timelines.
every
He
single
spoke for
patriot that
almost
went
an
down
hour
there.
and a half.
Just keep it one at a time. It's easier.
Capitol when he first started speaking. So you had an hour and a half on that didn't exist. I was there.
So you were there, Alex. So tell me, were there weapons there?
No, nobody used
Okay,
weapons.
so are you telling?
Yes,
are you
there were
telling me-
weapons. No, you're right. You got me.
He's going to say the cops.
Yeah, they shot Ashley Babbitt and they threw people off the balcony and they beat a woman's brains out. You're right.
There were 75.
Oh no, nobody shot a woman. Nobody beat a woman to
Nobody
death.
beat a woman on the ground. That's a fake video that got put out. That wasn't
Ashley
real.
Babbitt's fake, folks.
He was
wow.
shot.
I like
Ashley
how
was
you would
shot.
think that years after the event, we're now getting unreleased footage.
There's
Like there were
video of
1,000
them
people sitting right
dragging
around it. There's
that
video
woman.
of that event
The
from 5
police
different
drag
angles
her in and
without
beat
her
her to
getting
death.
beat by a baton. How would that take years to
Oh my
report?
God!
Alex?
Everybody on X, get him
okay.
saying they didn't beat a woman to death.
Can I
Everybody
just-
watching,
can
go
I
to
just-
Google.
Yeah, let's.
Oh, you just screwed yourself.
All right,
I asked you about the weapons.
Got your ass. Woo!
All right, Alex.
Yeah, got his ass now,
Once
baby.
you're done celebrating, I'd like
Ashley
to ask-
Babbitt, nobody died. Old woman didn't get drug in by the cops and beat by batons.
This is an Eagles-Cowboys game. What is
Gotcha.
that?
No, he wants to do little one-ups and just
So what Trump fans are, it's a
hope the
sports
audience
game for
only
them.
goes off how much emotion there is. I can top you.
Alex,
I can
calm
top
down,
you.
buddy. Calm down. Calm
Here we
down. Okay, so you said the weapons were the Fed shooting Ashley Babbitt. What about how about the guy the 3 men on the corner of 14th and Independence who had AR-15s? How about
Oh, they use those?
they didn't use them, but
Oh, what about the pipe bomb?
I asked you a question.
Who's that?
Alex, I asked you a question if people had weapons. How about how many weapons were seized? Like,
Hey, I got a
75
dick.
75
I got a dick.
people
That means I'm
arrested.
raping people.
75,
Alex, never
70
done.
75 of the people arrested within the Capitol building had weapons.
Let's. We have a couple of clips.
Knives and stuff. Oh, the weapons. The knaves have weapons and disarm them
Guy
immediately.
Reffitt. How about Guy Reffitt? What is he? 3%er or 3%?
Does he have
right?
nuclear weapons like Biden?
He
Say we're going to use them on
had a
Russia?
handgun on the stairs of the Capitol.
He had a handgun.
As he was encouraging people to,
that's worse than Pearl Harbor.
as he was saying, telling people to go into the Capitol, as he was saying he wants to drag Nancy Pelosi out of the Capitol and hopes her head hits every
Did he
stair on
say-
the way
did
out.
he say
Let
go
me finish,
into the
Alex.
Capitol like
Let me
Rams?
just finish my point before you cut me off. He wanted to drag Nancy Pelosi out and let her head hit every stair on the way out. He said,
Yeah, and a guy pooped on Pelosi.
Finish, Alex.
So
Alex,
we don't blame
let
the
me
Yeah, let Ed finish this point because we're going to go to
They
Darren.
sound like middle-aged women at a beauty
The
salon.
Capitol building that they're going to take the Capitol.
called Destiny
and
Ding Dong?
Insert their own government.
Yeah, so
And he had a
a
handgun
million
on the
people,
steps
a
of the
few
Capitol
lunatics were
building.
there, and you call it like Martians invading and blowing the earth up. Like Glenn Greenwald said.
His intention wasn't an insurrection.
Yeah.
Are you
Alex Jones is one of the most bombastic personalities of our time. You know, yeah, he acts like a moron. That's his thing. That's what he does. And Destiny knows it's an act, and that's why Destiny is so comfortable sitting right next to him and just calling him out on his bullshit, and which he will be doing over and over and over again. Destiny's a fucking pit bull, dude.
His intention wasn't an insurrection. He's saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi out. He's saying
And
we're
he
gonna
wasn't
take the-
under Trump's command.
Can I
All right.
Trump
finish my-
didn't tell
can
him.
I
Trump
just
said
finish
go
my-
peacefully.
Alex, can I
Trump
just
said
finish
go
and you can
peacefully.
respond?
Yes, you can finish your point, and then we're going to go to Darren.
Oh, the
You
coffee's so
can mute button or something,
good.
Alex.
No, yeah, I'm not going to be run over.
So he was on his way to the Capitol building saying, we're going to take the Capitol and install our own government. He had a handgun. In his
so
holster.
Trump-
He had
I'm
his
guilty.
handgun on
I'm
his,
guilty.
in his
No, Alex, let him
holster
finish.
on the stairs of the Capitol saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell out. But you don't have a problem with that. That's
He
not.
didn't use
That's
the gun.
What do you think, Darren?
because
All
he didn't
he
use
got
a gun because he
said
didn't have the
killing
opportunity
women.
to shoot Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence.
Did he
That's
kill?
okay. He didn't have access
I
to
didn't
that.
say that was okay.
Thankfully, the
Coming in.
Capitol
I-
Police.
what about-
Thankfully, the Capitol
What about the
Police.
Q
Thankfully,
shaman?
the
What about the Q shaman they
Thankfully,
let
the
in?
Capitol Police.
All right, okay.
Oh my God, a guy had a
Pull the
gun.
blind down.
All the Americans are guilty. You can't vote for Trump now. A guy had a gun.
I've been asked by Zero Hedge to moderate this debate.
Man, Augustine, hit subscribe while you're over there on YouTube. But if you would, please consider coming over to Rumble. I'm at Nay's Garden on Rumble. There's a direct link if you want to click that. Come on over to Rumble. Watch from there. That's where this chat is. The one that's on my screen. It's rumble.com/user/Nay's Garden.
Everyone, quiet down. We're going to Darren Beatty. Darren, what's happening?
What's the question here?
No, you've been hearing all
Is this a freaking coup? What do you think about what they've been saying as well?
I don't think it's a coup. I think question of an insurrection, you can go to the etymology of rising up. That could be anything.
Dude, you're an idiot. The definition for coup and insurrection are almost identical. The one is a seizure of power from the government, violent, sudden violence. The other one is a violent uprising against authority or government. They're almost identical definitions. This guy, Darren J. Beatty, is a fucking idiot, and I'm way smarter than all of these guys that haven't yet come up with just, hey, can we just pull up the definition of the word? We're going to scream at each other. 43 minutes in, and they haven't pulled up the definition yet. And it was the very first thing I did when they started this. I was like, well, maybe they should look up the definition. It's been on screen for a long time.
Keep the proper perspective in mind. It doesn't elevate anything.
Oh, I know. The mod, he's such a goof, dude. He's a total goof.
Resembling the Civil War, 9/11, or any of the crazy comparisons.
One guy with a gun isn't as big as the Civil War?
No.
He looks like Leonard Skinner.
So there's that.
The mod looks like Leonard Skinner.
Matters, and that's what we're really getting at when we talk about insurrection. The courts are politically weaponized, so I wouldn't even rest, the legitimacy and the question on the determinations of the courts, which we can see are running away with pretty wild and ridiculous theories. Weaponized court system. So there's that.
God.
And then, these, sure, there are random nut jobs who are around D.C. on that day and then any other day. And so I don't think that's relevant to the ultimate question.
Yeah, those were just random nut jobs. They weren't Trump supporters.
And as I said before, the stuff about Trump and the
Jesus
legal theory
Christ.
behind his, multiple part plan, that could be an interesting discussion. It's technically outside the scope of the debate. But again, I would reiterate, anyone who knows
Thank you,
Trump,
Michael.
anyone who knows...
Thank you for agreeing with me, Michael. I see that. I do agree. I see that. One and the same. You need to be on that panel instead of that bozo. It's Josh G.
Those people who knows Trump, 100% certainty, Trump genuinely believes that the election was stolen. He had multiple legal advisors. Many of his advisors were trying to sabotage him from day one. Just because he was advised by one of these snakes doesn't mean that he therefore agrees with what they say.
Wow.
He agreed with the people who told him it was stolen and that he had legal recourse to address that, which he implemented. So there's nothing that rises to an instant.
There was only one guy that was telling him it was stolen, dude, and all the other ones were saying, dude, you need to not do this. It's so fucking crazy how delusional this Darren J. Beatty guy is.
Direction or coup about that either, even though that's outside of the scope of our discussion for today.
So, Cassidy Hutchinson said that Trump said to Mark Meadows, "I don't want people to know we lost. It's embarrassing."
I'm glad that you mentioned her because this gets to the televised sham that was
well,
these...
she was under oath. Who under oath for Trump said...
Well, she changed her story a bunch.
Yeah,
she was
clearly...
under oath.
Yeah.
She was under oath. So the thing here is that... Listen, so the thing here is that...
Why is the January 6th committee destroying the transcripts?
The January 6th committee called... Near 98% of their witnesses were Republicans.
It was kangaroo.
These people were under oath, Republicans, and they testified. The people who didn't testify within the Trump circle, there were dozens who, Fifth Amendment, they refused to say a word. So you're going to tell me that the people that testified under oath are the liars, but the people that said things in the public but failed to say anything under oath are the ones that are telling the
let me
truth.
say I wasn't just there on January 6th. I was in that congressional hearing and took the fifth 98 times. and not because I had anything to hide. The Fifth Amendment isn't just to incriminate yourself. It's because they wanted me in a perjury trap. They were going to have witnesses claims that it wasn't true. I think attacking the Capitol makes us win an election?
Yeah, witnesses against their testimony versus you can't get you in perjury. They can't.
Oh, yeah, just ask Roger Stone that question.
No, it doesn't happen that way. How did perjury get Roger Stone that way?
Roger Stone wasn't involved with WikiLeaks. He worked here then. He couldn't get a hold of him. I knew he told the truth. He didn't tell anybody I'm behind the WikiLeaks. They said Roger Stone ran WikiLeaks. He never even talked to Julian Assange.
I say he ran WikiLeaks.
No, they fucking tried to put
He
me
in communication. I think this is getting off
Oh
topic.
my God,
this is off topic. That's okay.
That's like the first curse word I've heard.
When he said, I don't know I have not interviewed Assange.
Let's pull back to Darren. Darren's going to finish off what you were saying about this, and I think, Glenn, you were going to mention something after that. And then I have a couple of clips that we're going to play. But
No longer going to cannabis. Cheers, everybody in the
January
chat.
6th hearings were a show trial of the sort that would make Kim Jong-il blush.
Explain it to them. They wouldn't let Republicans that they wanted under the law on the committee.
They wanted Jim Jordan, who was actually part
You're not allowed to have you on your side. We pick who the people are in our jury.
Jim Jordan was
Jim
being
Jordan's
investigated
bad.
by
You can't
the
vote for
committee.
Trump either.
They wanted a person on the committee who was being investigated by the committee. How does that make sense?
Oh my God, when you're being investigated by the Democrats, you don't have a look.
I think a lot of people watching don't understand. Hey, guys.
Jim Jordan was elected.
Does
They don't
that
have
matter?
the people that are listening don't have the context. So if we start rapid fire argumentation, a lot of people are going to lose interest. We need to stay focused and listen to each other. It's really important.
Staying focused
Well,
makes it
that's right.
really hard for them to win their case.
It is really hard.
Win their case when they have to stay focused.
It's
because
very
the facts
hard,
don't
but
align with any of their views of reality.
It is possible.
Well, I'm going to go take a piss, and I'll let you tell people fairy tales.
But what's happening is Darren is going to continue what you were saying about finishing up your thought on the Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah, well, the thought was just about this Hutchinson, and she said a lot of things. I believe she was the one who said that Trump reached over to the steering wheel and, told the Secret Service this or that, which was a bizarre thing because the Secret Service agents in question weren't the ones who were called upon to testify under oath.
Some of them testified the same thing that Cassidy Hutchinson said.
No,
Yeah, they did actually, and that's what was so funny about that was because Jimmy Dore said that Cassie Hutchinson was a bad actress, not to be trusted, and the fact that she was wearing white, and they attacked her, and Jimmy Dore and his wife, and Kurt Metzger, and somebody else, maybe Jackson Hinkler, somebody was on that show. And they all attacked her, man, and I defended her on my show. In fact, I made a truthier, I think it was a truthier, but I made a video. It might be on Nay's Garden. A video, 30 pieces of straw, Jimmy Dore's and his 30 pieces of straw, to try to say that Cassie Hutchinson was a subvert. When, she's the one that went in there and gave testimony under oath.
Service actually said we would love to testify, and they weren't allowed to. The two Secret Service agents in question in that specific anecdote were not allowed to testify. So why would they take this secondhand report from Hutchinson when they could have interrogated directly the people who would have been direct witnesses to that?
They're in the
not those two specific agents, but why not?
Other
why
agents in the car with Trump testified for the JAN6th committee. I don't know why they would or wouldn't testify or have particular people testify, but other people in that car did.
No.
Yes,
the two people.
Yeah, Glenn.
So Destiny just said that other people that were in the car with Donald Trump when he implored the driver to turn around and go to the Capitol, and he grabbed for the either the driver or somebody in the front. He reached for them. There were other people in the car that corroborated her story. That's what Destiny's saying, and this other guy's just like, yeah, that's all a lie. That's yeah. Where's your testimony at? He's like, oh, well, they weren't allowed to testify. Oh, well, the testimony we have from multiple people says Donald Trump wanted to go to the Capitol. And if I remember correctly, not only did he say he was going to go to the Capitol during his speech, but later, during an interview, he said, I wanted to go to the Capitol. He literally admitted it.
what Alex was alluding to a second ago.
That's funny, Billy.
One of the biggest shams in the history of Congress, because what happened with the January 6th committee was we had
The mod smells 100% like Goodwill. That's terrible.
a long history of 225 years of tradition in the United States Congress. Where
Yeah, the algorithm knows we're talking about Trump. Well, the algorithm sees that Trump is in the title.
or whatever investigative commissions would be created within the Congress, the minority leader and the majority leader would each select the members of that committee to ensure there was fair representation by both parties. Nancy Pelosi, for the first time in the history of the United States, as Speaker of the House, refused to allow the Republicans who were chosen for that committee by Kevin McCarthy, at the time the Republican minority leader, to be seated on the panel. And as a result, the Republicans said, we're going to have nothing to do with this. And the only quote-unquote Republicans that were chosen was Liz Cheney, who ended up losing her seat by 36 points, and Adam Kinzinger, who didn't bother running again because they were so unrepresentative of the Republican Party. It was a completely partisan commission.
You grabbed, yeah, you reached for him.
On top of that, none of the videotapes that were available was
Yeah, it's from a person.
made available to the public, except for very deceitfully chosen snippets by Adam Schiff and by Liz Cheney. And it was only within the last several months that we saw all of the video footage. And what it showed makes a joke of the idea that this was a coup. You had people peacefully walking into the Capitol, led by many of the police officers who encouraged them to enter peacefully, which they did. The vast majority of people who were there at January 6th aren't even charged with using violence, and that's what makes this whole debate so...
Look, now they're showing the footage of the people that were walking through there peacefully, and they're trying to make the case that because that happened, nothing else matters. That's a reporter, Glenn Greenwald. He only wants you to look at one side of the footage.
...monstrous joke. If you look at how coups are carried out in other countries, you could make a much better case...
They were there in numbers. They were there in sheer numbers, and just being there to add to those numbers made you complicit.
That the Black Lives Matter protest of 2020 was an insurrectionary movement. And the reason it matters, Destiny, is because if you're going to make arguments, there has to be an important test, which is, do you apply the same principles you're claiming to profess and believe in?
I love how angry Destiny has got everybody. Destiny's got everybody worked up. Alex Jones, Glenn Greenwald, that dude on the end, he's impotent. Obviously, he's probably out of Viagra. He's probably away from home, or so you can tell he's got a problem. But dude, look at how worked up Destiny has Glenn Greenwald right now, and all Glenn is spinning is complete narrative and bullshit lies and straw manning. It's hilarious.
To cases where it undermines your partisan allegiance and your ideology, not only where it helps it. That's one of the key tasks for determining the authenticity of your argument. And so if you don't think the 2020 protest movement was an insurrectionary movement against the United States government, there's no way to claim what January 6th was, especially since Trump could have done so much more to cause a coup that he did not do, because that wasn't his aim ever.
If you want to talk about applying the same
Wow.
standard, would you have been okay?
So once again, he claims to know what Donald Trump was thinking after chastising people who claim to know what Donald Trump is thinking. The hypocrisy. It just swims around you, man, with this guy, Glenn Greenwald. Wow. He's such a hack.
In the year 2000, if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what was happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did want him to do that.
Question? Glenn, answer the question.
Yeah, and I wanted to act. Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
I'm not asking if a lot of I'm asking you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote.
I think there were two.
You want to answer the question? In 2016, would you have been okay if Biden?
Because if you really believe that an election is stolen, as the Democrats claim they did, then it is kind of odd to say, we're just going to concede that and allow George Bush to march into power, even though we believe that he actually stole the election.
Yes,
that is kind of an odd way to go about your...
It's not all that all. We live in a democracy. There are appropriate forums through which you can
challenge. Did they not battle that out in the courts?
And they lost. Once
okay,
you had
there
your day
you
in
go.
Court and you
Trump
lost,
was battling it out in the court,
and he lost. Once you lose, anything past that is vigilantism. Vigilantism directed at the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to entrench your own power is an attempted coup.
That's what he tried to do.
Trump did, though. He told them to be peaceful. He told them go and
We're
be
not talking
peaceful.
about the. We're not talking about the peaceful.
He told them go and be peaceful, but he told them go, and he said you got to fight like hell. He used those words, man. You know, it's there. He uses coded messages just like a godfather does in a mob family, so he's not recorded giving the actual commands. That's what Donald Trump does, and Glenn Greenwald pretends like he doesn't know about that.
He wanted them to be peaceful.
You're
He would have
talking
called
about
in the
his
National
use of the
Guard as
court.
soon as they
You're
started
talking
rioting,
about-
but he didn't do that.
Yeah, like
You know, Glenn Greenwald. The Godfather says this while his henchmen are standing around. He says, you know, I think it would be nice if I didn't see so-and-so around anymore, you know. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? All right, you guys go out and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. That's it. Oh, I never said it, you know, but that's how Donald Trump thinks. And if you don't see it that way, then you don't know Donald Trump, or you love Donald Trump so much, like Glenn Greenwald, that you will literally sit here and become like a Jimmy Dore, right? They've all become right-wingers. It's so weird.
Because of the legal process, of the congressional and judicial process.
It was not a
He
legal
went and he
process.
tested. If he had ordered the military or some other FBI or any of those agencies, the CIA, to go and use violence on domestic soil in order to ignore those court rulings the way people do when they're trying to implement coups, you would have a good argument. He didn't do any of that. He invoked all of his legal rights in the judiciary and in the Congress. He lost and he walked out of the White House on
And none of that says that in the definition of the word coup. It says a sudden, violent, unlawful seizure of power from a government. It doesn't say you have to order the FBI or the CIA or get some powerful entity to get on your side. It's got to be from the inside. You've got to get a general and some soldiers. That's the way you're going to overthrow a government. That's the only way. No, it just says a sudden, violent, unlawful seizure of power from government. It doesn't say any of the things that you're saying, dumbass. It's vague intentionally so that when other shit happens, you know, the founding fathers were pretty fucking smart. It's vague intentionally so that when, you know, some other form of an insurrection happens, you got to get charged with that shit. That's why it just says it's just a sudden. Why is that so hard? Because you want to suck Donald's dick. That's why, Glenn, you just want to suck Donald's dick.
January 20th. He did not have to be dragged out. He wasn't arrested
You
by the
wanna
military,
be his little
which is what
bitch.
happens in coups. So much of this is because you only started paying attention to politics in 2016. You only live in the United States. You have no idea about history or anything that happens in other countries. You have no idea what a coup is. This is a coup.
Glenn,
and
you
all
bring
know
that
about
up. Glenn, you bring it up, and you're trying to use Hawaii as an example for something that was comparable, where both slates of electors were actually duly elected by the people there. For in the 60s, Hawaii and South Carolina, these other historical examples that people go to for multiple states of electors are not at all comparable. Both of these things happened prior to 2016. There are no examples in U.S. history, or if you want to give me one, since you know so much history prior to 2016, give it to me. Is there any other examples in U.S. history where the president is telling the vice president to unilaterally not certify the vote? Has that ever happened before?
That's a totally separate question.
No,
from
that
whether
is
this
what
is a coup.
happened on January 6th.
It doesn't matter if it's the first time that it ever happened. Even if it's the first time or the 10th time, it's still not a coup or an insurrection. A coup or an insurrection is when you use violence and force in order to seize control of power outside of the legal process.
So a coup
That's exactly what they did. He knows the definition. He literally just described January 6th, and he used the word for word, memorized completely the exact definition of the word. They tried to change the vote. Okay, Donald Trump had lost the election, and they tried to stop the steal. I don't want to pause this much, but God bless America, man.
has to have, so if there's
We're gonna have to do this video in multiple parts.
So if there's no violence, it can't be a coup.
Wasn't there violence? I saw violence.
Yeah, you need violence in order to be the coup. The
How much
amount of
violence do you
that
need?
happened
How much violence, right?
January 6th,
How much violence is violence? You know, what's violence? Sudden, violent. It just says sudden. It was pretty sudden. Violent. And unlawful. Yeah, 170 people are in prison.
violence
Grams.
has to the January 6th protesters, not from them. Again, not a single protester whipped out a gun, let alone used a gun. That is an extremely weird.
How many officers were injured? 140?
Wait.
Is that enough violence for you?
Well, here's a good question about who, like staging a coup and emergent phenomenon, and if a crowd becomes violent, or if someone directs the crowd to become violent. This is actually the next question on my list. Do you guys think that Trump was responsible for this thing? And before
why the fuck did the moderator cut off the conversation? He is not only fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo on a bad day. He just cut off one of the most interesting parts of the conversation where everybody was making sense and trying to get somewhere to change the subject because he's an idiot. This was the one time he should have sat there and let them speak. Wow. They were finally there. Glenn Greenwald finally said the definition of the word, and now they're finally debating if it was violent or not. And it's almost as if Shaggy over here doesn't want them to cover aspects of the argument, which would be, it's almost as if he knows they're going to solve it right there. Oh, well, you talked that if it was violent, we all know it was violent. And then, yes, it was an insurrection. It was violent. And they were attempting to change the vote. They were attempting to subvert democracy on that day and the government. And there's no doubt that was an insurrection. It's the exact definition of a fucking insurrection. It's not even like, it was a half insurrection. No. It was a full-on insurrection. It's exactly what it was. They just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were a bunch of fucking, Trump-supporting idiots that didn't have a leader in there to guide them and show them what to do. And this is why they're a bunch of fucking morons that accomplished nothing except to get 170 of them, arrested and 170 police fucking injured.
play a couple of clips. We have clip 1 and 2.
Oh, shut up, Shaggy, you idiot.
On the day. I think the first clip is before the violence kicked off. Maybe we can play that first.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo,
will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We can't.
Peacefully and patriotically, very much. We're just going to cherry pick those words. Patriotically. Well, what is patriotically? How have patriots behaved in the past? Well, patriots behaved violently, didn't they? Isn't that how patriots behaved? Someone willing to defend the country with violence. Isn't that a patriot? Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Hey, Michael.
You've seen what happens.
4 hours.
You see the way others are treated.
4 hours later.
So bad and so evil.
4 hours later.
I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
That second clip was from after the violence had become, and so he was kind of doing damage control, I think, at that point.
I just don't understand all of the insanely arbitrary caps that we're trying to create to try to say that it wasn't a coup. Well, there was violence, but there wasn't enough. There was a subversion of the democratic process, but it didn't end up working. If the plan would have gone as Donald Trump wanted it to have gone, which is Vice President Pence unilaterally tossing out the Electoral College vote, and if Donald Trump would have retained power past when he was supposed to lose it, what is that if not a coup? What would you call that?
No one ordered those people, the few hundred that actually fought police to do that.
That's great. What would you call that, though? If
Trump's
it would
not
have
been
happened,
charged.
no one said Trump's been charged with insurrection or inciting a riot. JAN6th especially did.
But we can't vote for him because
what would you call it if Pence would have unilaterally thrown out the vote and Trump would have held on to power for some weeks?
Trump was calling for a 10-day Senate investigation. That's why we were there.
That's great. What would have happened if Pence would have thrown out the vote?
No, that's a hypothetical. Trump wanted a 10-day investigation.
No, but
I don't care
he
what
also
Trump
wanted Pence to throw out the
Yeah, what would have happened? What would you have called that?
And we're pushing for that.
Yeah, what would we have called that? Can I get a name for that? If you don't want to call it a coup or an insurrection, what would you call that?
Well, I'd call it taking Trump off the ballot and saying we can't vote for him.
Yeah, I know you won't answer because you probably know he's guilty. That's fine. What about
I
you
know
or
he's
Glenn?
guilty.
Glenn, what would you call it if the president was able to entrench his power by asking his vice president to throw out the vote unilaterally, which is what he was trying to do? Do you want to deny the facts? Do you want to deny that it's a coup? What part?
A coup.
I think
You're lucky there wasn't a real coup.
Shows the weakness of the argument, but if that had happened, my
Looks like
guess
a
is it would have
threat.
ended up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would have made the decision about whether Mike Pence exercised his proper authority as vice president, and then Donald Trump, if he had run out of options, would have left the White House on January 20th without any need for military force or police force, exactly how he did. And I would have called that the exhaustion of all of the legal remedies available to the president in the event that he thinks that
Exactly,
an election
and
was
therefore
stolen.
it would have been just the way the Bush v. Gore thing played out.
Okay, if both of you guys
Exhausting your
accept that,
legal
if both of you
options,
guys-
getting up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court makes the determination.
Let Darren finish.
If both of you accept that, then if the Supreme Court says that because of Amendment 14, Section 3, Trump can't be on the ballot, you would both accept that as well?
We are
wouldn't,
going to accept
but I
that
think
that
that would be
happens.
authoritative. I would
Why
think
would
it
that
would
be
be
authoritative, but Donald Trump, one man, centralizing power among himself to remain in power, that's not authoritative. What
He
could be?
didn't do that. That's not
what he tried
happened.
to do. That is what happened.
No,
Glenn, I know you only read tweets and headlines, Glenn, but believe it or not, that's actually what happened. Yes.
I know you only read tweets and headlines, Glenn, but that's what happened. You know, Destiny destroys everybody. It is so funny. And if you can hear him over everybody else shouting and bitching, dude, he's really good at this.
Day, and that was our goal, was a 10-day Senate investigation into the Constitution.
That's not what was happening behind the scenes, though. There's testimony from the lawyers involved.
They were wargaming everything.
Exactly.
His
and they're
attorney
trying
general, the
everything.
assistant AG,
And
the
a lot
assistant
of these
deputy
people-
AG, all of his legal counsel,
a bunch
all
of
of the
his
state
lawyers-
senators, all
Dude,
of the congressmen.
I'll tell you what.
I'd be way better than
That's what
you.
you
I'll tell you who's loving it. The Krasenstein brothers over there, they're loving that when they say something and Destiny knows all the talking points, and it's like they just spun a top and they sit there and he's got it all. It's so funny, man.
Dude, the whole time.
No, you're doing it, and then I dominate you. You can't handle it.
Okay.
He didn't do that, and he left, is the point. And that's the reality. And now they say we can't vote for him, even though we all know Biden's going to win by 10 million votes.
That's why we call it an attempted coup and not an actual successful coup.
Alex, do you think that Trump was responsible for this thing on January 6th?
100% not. He'd had hundreds of rallies around the country, 5 or 6 that we were part of in the months before this. And we had the space. Here's the Capitol, right up by the Supreme Court on the Capitol grounds. We had a stage. And then we get there, and it's bedlam. And so, no, Trump didn't think attacking the Capitol would make him look good. That's why he came out and said that don't do this and go home.
Why didn't he call them off immediately if he thought it didn't make him look good?
It was happening while he was giving a speech.
Wrong. The reason why he didn't call them off is because Kim, Giuliani, and Eastman were making phone calls to other senators and congressmen asking them to decertify the electoral vote.
No.
You
Yes,
were there,
do
but you
you
weren't.
acknowledge that happened, or do you
Hold
not
on.
acknowledge it?
We're talking about the crowd.
I don't care about the crowd. I'm saying that as the riot was raging on and he was sitting there sipping his Diet Coke, if this really made him and his followers
you
look bad,
said-
why didn't Donald Trump make a video
Listen,
immediately?
I'm about to do it because I can talk over you really easy.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No, you're
I
doing
look forward to you dodging the
doing
question
it.
again.
You're
Go
doing
ahead.
it. You're doing it. You're doing it.
No, you.
This is
No,
good.
you.
No, you.
You.
You. Both of you.
Keep doing it. It's what he does. He doesn't
all of
have
you.
facts.
Break it up.
Trump did, while
I
he was
fucking love that
speaking,
part, man. Oh my
I was
god.
getting text messages, violence in the Capitol.
Now,
And I left.
I haven't seen this yet, but I've been waiting for this part because they show this at the very beginning of the show of this as a clip, as they showed another part as well. And I knew I wanted you guys to just experience it for the first time, and it's great, isn't it? That was a great part, wasn't it? You.
When I got there, he was still speaking.
Fucking love it.
So this thing where you guys say, oh, the attack started at this time and Trump did nothing this time, he's speaking while it happens for hours. He then goes
Just
to the
after
White
an
House,
hour,
has to figure
just
out what's
1
going
hour
on,
into the
and
video.
puts a statement out against it. And he said,
Right, Billy Bong?
in the middle of his speech, off the teleprompter, go be peaceful. That's what he said.
Didn't Trump get back to the goal? Was it like 1:30?
He also said, "Fight like hell."
Yeah,
If
why
we don't
didn't you
fight
play
like
those
hell,
clips?
if we don't fight like hell, we're not gonna have a country. What did Rudy Giuliani say? He said, "Let's have trial by combat."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a legal term. Maxine Waters said,
really? That's a
go
legal
attack
term.
Republicans in restaurants,
That's
grocery stores.
So
It's
why don't-
with her, it wasn't hyperbole.
Why don't
Trump
we
never
ask-
said, Trump never supported political violence. Trump never told people to be goons. The lefts would burn down half the country. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows it's Biden's erased the border. Everybody knows all this. You're sitting there claiming this was, do you agree this was big as Pearl Harbor?
What are you comparing it? As big as Pearl Harbor in what way? Bomb
3,000 died in
wise?
Pearl
No.
Harbor.
People dead? No. Maybe a blemish on our democracy? I'd say it was very close.
Let me ask you this. If they bring in, which they've done, 10 million illegal aliens the last 3 years, and then that gives them, with the congressional seats in the census, more Democrat seats in the Congress, is that
Undocumented aliens, undocumented immigrants are not voting.
They are counted.
No, they are not.
They're counted in the census.
But they're not voting.
They're counted in
They're
the
not
census.
voting.
So then they get more Democrat
Can
districts.
we backtrack really fast?
Oh my God.
So let's backtrack.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's
they're
get
already polling elections
respond.
with the illegals. They
Let's
get more
backtrack.
With the
congressional-
illegals.
more congressional districts.
Yeah, I do
Can we
want to
go
go
back
back.
With
to
the
January 6th? Okay,
illegals.
so you play those clips.
Oh, you always want to get off of it because it wasn't an
because I came
insurrection.
here to debate
And then as soon
January
as
6th,
I bring
not
out the real
immigration.
insurrection, you can't handle it.
I'm not here to debate immigration.
Yeah, talk to me, Brian.
Okay, yeah. So why don't we ask the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, the ones who were actually indicted and convicted of seditious
170.
conspiracy,
170 people.
why they did it? And
Oh, you know, they told us.
No, yeah, they did tell us.
In both-
they did tell
in
us.
both
I
in
know
court
what-
trials,
let
let
me
me say-
finish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they told us in court, and all of that court data is public knowledge, and anybody can go research that and go see what all 170 of those people said.
Let Brian finish.
and then you can come back at me.
All right.
Joe Biggs, he said, I did it because this is where Trump wanted me. He wanted me to do this. Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keepers, same thing. I did it for Trump. Multiple Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, they
There's
all
no
said,
double
I was
meaning for
here
trial
because
by
of
combat,
Trump. I
right?
went into the Capitol.
There's
I
no
took the
double meaning. You're
Capitol
right, Billy.
Because that's what Trump wanted. So was Trump responsible? Ask them. Ask the people that are serving 20 years in prison for seditious conspiracy.
I'd like to respond to that now. I know Stuart Rhodes well. I know Joe Biggs well. He used to work here. And they have never said Trump told them to go into the Capitol. They have never said they did it because he asked them to. That is not a true statement.
That is a true statement. I have their quotes right here.
Joe Biggs shook a fence. Stuart Rhodes said he never told anybody to go in the Capitol and never went in the Capitol. And you just said they said that Trump told them.
Multiple Proud Boys said they were in the Capitol because that's what Trump wanted. Trump
you're
wanted
reading
them.
a JAN6th federal filing? Next we'll tell me the big
I'm going. JAN6th didn't indict the Proud Boys.
They have messages between the group. They have the actual.
No, I know
telegram
all about
chats.
it.
Yes,
And,
so they have them. So
have you
are
read
you
them?
saying these are fabricated?
No, read me the quotes.
Yeah, read those quotes.
I mean, I have said we were here to storm the Capitol. We were here because of Trump. Trump. I mean, there's literally dozens of these
pretty
quotes.
different.
And
So
do they say Trump told
what's
me
the
to?
best quote you
Nobody
have?
is saying.
Trump
Hold on.
said
Wait,
go
wait, wait.
peacefully.
This is a red herring. Nobody.
What's
They're not
that?
saying. They're not saying that Donald Trump personally communicated to them to go to the Capitol. What they're saying is the reason why they were there, which I think over 147 convicted people have thus far in their convictions, have said the reason why they were there is because Trump called them to go there, not
Both-
personally.
in both
You know how many of
Proud
those
Boys-
people? You know how many of those people cited Ray Epps as the reason why they were in the Capitol? Take a guess.
Well, wait a minute.
Go
Wait a
into the
minute.
Capitol.
Yeah, Darren.
Go into the Capitol.
Zero.
In both Proud Boys
Take a guess.
and Oath Keepers
Zero.
cases, the Fed said there was no direct conspiracy.
No one is talking about
But
that.
not what
they
they're talking
went on to
By the facts, if you've been paying attention, Destiny just proved the point. The Krasensteins helped. And there's no arguing this. It's just so weird, man. The delusion.
It's
Hey, Gussel, what's up? What's up? Who were you over before
now it's a
on
new conspiracy.
YouTube?
where it's not written or said, they just imagine it.
Incitement
Wait,
of
wait,
violence.
wait, wait.
Let Darren- let Darren respond here.
I want to be clear. What is your contention with this? Give me the quote and then what your contention is in relation to the quote.
Like Destiny said, there are 140 convictions where the people convicted said, I was there because of Trump. Trump called us to do this. And when I say called us, I don't mean he called them on the phone and said,
for the sake of argument that that's true, what is your conclusion from that?
Trump helped incite this.
Well, just because they thought they were helping Trump, that doesn't mean that Trump told them to do that.
Let me say
That's
this.
true.
Let's look at the actions.
Kind of did, where after the fact, he then went and did a speech at the Capitol on that day. They bust people in. He wanted the magnetometers turned off. He wanted people in with weapons. And he told all of them to march down to the Capitol, to peacefully march down to the Capitol like patriots who are violent and willing to die for their country, and to go stop the steal. We also heard him say that on the January 6th speech, which is a call to action. He incited this thing. And if I was sitting on that panel, I'd have them all sit there silent. I'd say, be quiet, and I'm going to speak, and I'd say exactly what I just said. And I'd say that none of that is debatable. It's an insurrection. Trump led it. He's guilty of it. He can't serve as president, I mean, at all, anywhere. He can't serve in any state. You know, he could go to Mexico and run for president of Mexico. And you know what? God, dude, I see that happening. It's going to happen. He's going to move to Mexico and become the president of Mexico.
Wait, Alex. It's like saying,
I'm out of coffee again.
Charles Manson.
God, it happened so fast.
Presumably thought Helter Skelter was, telling him to kill. So is that the argument there? That Trump is essentially Helter Skelter, and he's telling these Proud Boys that you need to go and storm the Capitol?
Does the mob boss tell his peons, go kill this guy, or do they use other language?
Right.
Well, what's the language that you use that you think is criminal?
The language Trump.
What's the language that? Wait.
The language and the ideas that Trump discussed was that the election was being stolen.
Okay,
from
so
you.
that's criminal.
I never said that was criminal. He's not being indicted for that speech. You're asking why are the people at the White House? All of the Trump's indictments and charges for January 6th are not focused on the people at the White House.
So what's the point of argument there? That Trump.
The question.
Right. The term is stop the steal. Let's Google it. Okay, Google. History of Stop the Steal.
According to Wikipedia, in 2020, Alexander founded Stop the Steal, a campaign promoting the conspiracy theory that falsely posits that widespread electoral fraud occurred during the 2020 presidential election to deny Donald Trump victory over Joe Biden.
There you go. So, and then they use that rallying cry as a call to action to stop the steal as patriots that are willing to be violent to defend their country. So this is not rocket science, man. I'll walk anybody through this. I hope my friend Michael's still watching and he's like, God, Nay, that makes so much sense. I fucking hate you, bro. But I love you, bro. But I hate you, bro.
Election was stolen, and people assumed that they interpreted that as meaning, we need to go to storm the Capitol, but that's somehow Trump's fault and he's criminally liable for it, and it rises to an insurrection. Well, I'm trying to be clear what the contention is.
Let me explain it. What Trump did was Trump laid out very precisely exactly what he believed had happened. He thought that the vote was being stolen, that our country was being taken from us.
Not believe what he wanted others to believe.
Yeah, that Congress wasn't acting, that Mike Pence was supposed to be the guy to do it, but he hadn't heard good things about them, and they needed to go down to the Capitol building to protest. To protest what? To protest. Nobody's saying that. You're repeating the same thing. You're like a broken record. You're a broken record.
No, I'm not a broken record.
Trump
every time.
No. He said out of 1 million people, a couple hundred went in there, broke in, and did something wrong. That's what Alex Jones just said underneath Destiny, who's trying to speak. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, it could be one person kidnaps the president of the United States. That's an insurrection. It doesn't matter that there were, a couple hundred people that were involved in the violent part of what happened on that day. And none of that matters that there were, you know, a million other people that weren't involved. None of that matters. You know, it's a straw man talking point that has no bearing, and you know, there needs to be, the moderator should actually stop Alex Jones and explain why that's a straw man. You know, that's what a good moderator should do, in my opinion. You know, you debunk someone who's lying, you know, in real time. That's what I would do if I was moderating this.
You're trying to shut me down. Listen, here's the bottom line. Trump's not been charged with insurrection. Trump
No one said he was.
Trump didn't, but you're saying people can't vote for him.
No, I'm not saying that. That's up to the Supreme Court.
No, that's the. Do you support?
No one here is talking about him being.
Do you support Colorado and Maine taking him off the ballot?
That's up to the Supreme Court.
No, you punt. Do you think it's good for the opposing party, when a guy's way ahead in the polls, to remove someone from the ballot?
It's not about him being ahead in the polls or not. It's about whether or not he engaged in insurrection, and if the self-executing part of the 14th Amendment allows
Good answer.
Where's the
him
conviction
from the ballot.
Where is Trump found guilty of
You know,
insurrection?
if Adolf Hitler is ahead in the polls and he's guilty of like killing 6 million, 12 million people, but he's ahead in the polls, does that mean anything at that point? No, he's a fascist and he's a criminal and he can't be running. You know, it's.
Alex,
read it. Somebody, can we bring the 14th Amendment up on?
Can you read the Declaration of Independence? You're misrepresenting that, and it doesn't
They
matter.
want to bring
because
up.
We have a right to vote for who we want,
So
right?
Destiny is finally asked. Thank you, Destiny. Holy shit. He's finally asked for the actual documentation of the 14th Amendment. That paragraph, section 3, is very short and to the point. I've actually copied it down over here, so I could just read it out to you guys. Now, this is an abbreviated part of it, right? So I've taken out all these other words that don't apply. This is what applies. No person shall be a president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. That's what those guys want them to put up on screen with a couple more words in there, make it a little more explicit. But it's like, you know, I told you the vagueness is the beauty of some of these laws, so it'll cover so much, you know.
Don't.
Within reason.
You can't vote for somebody under 35 years old. You can't vote for somebody that's not a U.S. citizen.
It looked like you wanted to chime in, Glenn.
But he's unpopular, though. He lost. Well, we can't vote for him now.
If you think it's so bad that courts are kicking him off the ballot, what do you think about Trump doing the birtherism card for Obama for how many years? That was the first big political thing he was known for, was challenging whether Obama was even born in the United States in an attempt to get him kicked off the ballot.
No, you know why? I can play the clips of Obama's.
And now you're going to justify that.
No, you're going to read my mind?
That's what it sounded like you're about to do. Play the clips.
No, he is. I'm going to got all of the video that will prove where Obama's parents were literally born in Arizona. And then they were shipped over to Germany. And it was in Germany that they were abducted by shape-shifting, reptilian, time-traveling aliens who then deposited the Obamas over in Alaska, not Alaska, in Russia, that is where Barack Obama was born. He is not from Hawaii, and I've got all of the evidence that will literally prove that to you. Now, just let me explain it to you.
I'm not scared of you talking.
There's clips of Obama and his wife saying he was born in Kenya. I don't believe he was born in Kenya. He was born in Hawaii to the head of the Communist Party there, actually. So, and who's in his book and hanging out, you know, Frank. So that's what's going on here. It doesn't matter if Trump wants to say the moon's made of cheese. We have a right to vote for him.
If Trump can say whatever he wants, that's not what's getting him removed from the ballot.
That's a piece of straw, Alex.
But he's a loser. But
You can vote for him. You
Straw
can
man.
vote for him if you want. You can vote it. You can vote for him. You can write him in. But the 14th Amendment says he can't hold office if he incited.
But who says? And who found him guilty of insurrection?
We talked about this
doesn't need to be found guilty.
Nobody was found guilty of violating insurrection rebellion
And they never
statute
used
during the
the
Civil
question.
War.
I have
either.
a question.
Nobody.
I have
And
a
that was an
question.
insurrection.
Wait.
You do not have to be convicted of insurrection to be guilty of committing an insurrection. The question is did you? It doesn't say convicted in the law. It says, were you part of an insurrection? That's it. It says it right there. engaged in insurrection or rebellion. And it doesn't say engaged in insurrection or rebellion as judged by blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait. It does. My God, that's right. I'm sorry. It does. It does. It does. I forgot. That's right. 2/3 of the Senate and the House, both the Senate and the House. It has to be a 2/3 margin, which would be impossible in almost any situation, and they could negate that. That's the only way. So there's that. I forgot about it. I'm sorry. I left that off my definition to make it easier. But yes, an impossible vote would never happen, and that's why I didn't put it in there, because it's a little confusing.
Welcome to my house for a moment. Hello. Hi, I'm Ian Crossland, and I'm moderating this awesome debate. Glenn Greenwald's about to speak. I want to hear what he has to say. He's been waiting patiently for about 1 minute. Glenn, what's happening?
This guy's an idiot.
Thanks. Yeah. So first of all, on the
Shut
issue
up,
of the
Scooby-Doo.
ballots, there have been split decisions on this, and even Democratic judges in Colorado, and then the Democratic, very partisan Secretary of State in Rhode Island, as well as in California, have all said they don't think it's appropriate to remove Trump from the ballot because he has not yet been charged with, let alone convicted of, insurrection. So I want to be very deferential to Destiny's incredible achievements in constitutional scholarship, but there are actually a lot of even Democratic Party elected officials who are saying, as well as judges of the Colorado Supreme Court who are appointed by Democratic Party governors, who are saying that you cannot actually remove somebody because to remove them from the ballot is to punish them for a crime, insurrection, that Trump has never been charged with. And therefore,
it doesn't say that in the law, Glenn. We just established that. It doesn't say that he has to be charged with it. The only thing it says is it could be reversed by a double vote from both houses of 2/3, which is impossible and would never happen.
had the opportunity to defend himself the way a criminal did.
Wait, why are you citing the dissent?
Glenn,
Why are you citing the dissent? Why are you citing the dissent even in a losing case? Like it proves your point.
No, also,
That's what I thought. Okay.
He just knows that people are dumb.
I have a direct question.
Hey, you know you're scared of Glenn. Let it continue. No one's ever
Also,
been taken off the ballot without being convicted.
Okay, Glenn, continue, and then Darren's going to add.
The Secretaries of State of California and Rhode Island have also said the same thing, but it's true. The Supreme Court will decide. I'm very confident they'll decide Trump can remain on the ballot, and then that will resolve that issue. Yes. The question I have two questions quickly. One is, why didn't anybody like Jack Smith charge Trump with engaging in an insurrection? If Trump was engaged in an insurrection or inciting an insurrection, you would hope, I would think, that he would be charged with that. I don't think he was, so I'm happy he wasn't. But for those of you who think he was, why wasn't he charged with that? And then the second one is, I just want to know, given that the 2020 riots did have a lot of people in there who were nonviolent and were there not for insurrectionary reasons, but had a lot of people who were anarchists and insurrectionists and who engaged in a lot of violence, a lot more than was done on January 6th. Do you also think that the riots of 2020 constituted an insurrection? I'm just trying to understand, to get a sense for what your definition of insurrection is.
Glenn, do you think that the 1992
Can you
riots...
answer when I ask two questions? Can you just answer that? And then I'll ask my
Yeah, I can give answers too. I don't think that Black Lives Matter was an insurrection. I do think 1992 riots in LA was an insurrection. George
Did not be about a laugh. They did not an insurrection. Was it a laugh?
It was a protest, and the violence was when the police clashed with the protesters. The violence was not against the government in order to stop the government from doing something.
There were Antifa and anarchist groups there that explicitly say they were using violence to overthrow the government. That didn't happen.
Firebombing federal courthouses. God, that's not true.
They were the bombs on the courthouses. There's nobody at nighttime. There's nobody in there. They were not obstructing anything. They were not there to obstruct an official proceeding of a government.
are way closer to an insurrection than anything happened after the 2020 election. And the reason you're afraid to say that it is an insurrection is purely for ideological and partisan ends. Because you don't want liberals weren't each an insurrection.
There's riots every week in America. Or all
The
those
Democrats were
insurrections.
saying the Black Lives Matter riots were good and bailing them out.
You know what? Here's something.
The Democrats were saying be violent everywhere.
They're not.
So everybody get the clips, get in, take the clip and get in.
When we talk about insurrection,
I got your ass.
I want to let Stephen finish this up.
We're talking about an insurrection, okay? I think all three of us here would agree that if there was a congressional session or a state legislative session and people were voting on it and BLM rioters went up and they tried to firebomb the House to stop the vote, I think all of us would agree that's an insurrection. But you guys, hello, oh my God, I won't finish the sentence. Does that scare you?
And way more violent stuff in capitals than Trump
I understand,
people.
yes.
Oh,
Space
that's a great
lasers
point.
were destroying houses in Hawaii, okay? You keep bringing back the amount of violence. The amount of violence isn't relevant. All of us here agree that obviously over the entire
So when
course of the
Democrats
BLM
storm the
riots,
Capitol, it's great. When Democrats endorse some storming, it's good.
over the course of the BLM riots, there was lots of violence. I think everybody on this side of the table is okay with charging
What about
and convicting
Democrats storming
people.
capitals all over the
Everybody
country?
here is okay with charging and convicting anybody that was guilty of a violent act. However, violence, no matter how much, does not make an insurrection. It's the obstruction or rebellion against the United States for the JAN6th obstruction charge, obstructing an official process like certifying the vote.
Okay, Darren, we're going to go to Darren. We're going to go to Darren now.
Let me ask this. So, first of all, it wasn't just violence. There were aspects of the BLM uprisings that involved, at one point, Trump was forced to go into a secure bunker in the White House. They broke through the Treasury. I think
National Guard then. Can you
I have
remember
a
that?
question. I have a question about the 14th Amendment for Destiny anyway. So let's assume that it doesn't require a conviction. In your view, who is most appropriate to make that determination? If it doesn't require... Well,
so the answer, the real answer is it's hard to tell. Personally, I don't like the way the 14th Amendment Section 3 is written. I've got a lot of friends who will hate me for saying that. And I think that the Supreme Court probably will rule against it. Because the problem with the 14th Amendment is the self-executing part of it means basically anybody involved in that balloting process of putting them on the ballot could make that determination.
So you basically agree it has to go up to the Supreme Court and be decided before he can be justly removed from
Let
ballot.
me say this. The Declaration of Independence, and you would have an insurrection. I want to fix this peacefully. But I have a right, not from the Declaration of Independence, it already points out what's there, to abolish a government when the majority of us agree we're done with it. So, and you got all these movies about Civil War and the Democrats are putting out and Obama's putting out. You guys better hope that doesn't happen. We're trying to fix this peacefully. But this is a load of crap. To claim that Republicans and conservatives are this super viral, evil, white supremacist terror group, they're planning crap. No one's buying that. And conservatives and populists and America Firsters see how we're being set up.
You say set up, but Donald Trump is the one setting you up.
Well, this is my question.
Trump said be peaceful and go to the Capitol.
Trump
We're going to have a 10-day Senate investigation. I was there.
Did Trump have his people? Did Trump have it? There's a million hours of footage. Trump had 7 different states create 7 false sets of electors that perjured themselves, saying they were duly elected.
I know this.
And they shipped all of those to Congress.
When I tried to have people that I know put clips of me saying don't go in the Capitol, they would take them down. Or we show clips of people pulling off their Antifa gear, putting on Trump gear, and you know, all
where's the video footage of all the Antifa Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, testified under
Trump didn't have it on standby. He asked for it, was refused by Milley. I can pull Washington Post up.
He was refused. No, Milley specifically
done.
You just know
Yeah, what
Donald
you
Trump
need.
said it to the crowd.
We're live on air here,
Is
just
what you
like
got to, yeah.
this guy
Give
said.
me love, but you won't.
Oh,
Your heart,
you
but
hear
you
this?
don't like. Give your love, but you won't. Your heart, but
You didn't answer my
No,
question.
I remember the article.
Can you just answer my
You're
question?
not listening.
Yeah,
You
let it
know my answer?
she
When
loves
Trump got
me.
firebombed in the White House, got attacked, he said all this on the head jurisdiction was General Flood's brother for 10,000
If you
troops.
could only see how her eyes can be when she says, when she says she
Gotcha.
loves
Everybody get it. I'm on air right now. Hold on. Here's the whole thing.
You're telling me that she
Watch next tomorrow. Watch next tomorrow. It'll have 5 million views, and it'll be you, and it'll be all the news articles where Milley says he'll resign if Trump's went National Guard, and then they did it again, and then General Flood's
That wasn't
brother.
for January 5th. That was the
I know. That's where it begins. And he asked again.
because he's just
and they
speaking
also-
nonsense.
Yeah, it's all
So I'm just
there.
playing music over it.
You're making the claim that Trump had.
No, you say show it. I'm here.
Why would Trump care if
But you
Milley would
didn't
resign
know.
if they're all the deep state? If they're all part of the swamp, why wouldn't he just do it anyway if that's what's right? Trump is the
Well,
ultimate
what's
authority
gonna
on the
happen is
national. You're
people-
not going to answer that question?
Here's what's going to happen, Diggity. What's going to happen is they're all going to get it, and that's the whole. They're all going to show it, and then we'll see.
Yeah, this is making me think about media manipulation in general and how sometimes you see things, sometimes you don't, sometimes things are real, sometimes they're not, and it leads me to my next question, general for everybody. And by the way, all 6 of you are doing phenomenally, especially you, Glenn, killing it from Brazil, my man. Do you guys think this election was stolen?
100%. And
Absolutely not.
And it's my right to say that. But then, covering up the windows with signs, and then all these trucks pulling in, and then the graph where Trump's above, and it perfectly shoots up, and then wins.
I guess define stolen. Define that for me before we answer the question. If anybody
Well, I mean, as Professor Epstein and others have said, they do it way before suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, giving you 96% Google Democrat links. I mean, it's all the stealing's done before in the algorithm and the censorship and the control. I remember 5 years ago when I was being deplatformed, they were denying I was being deplatformed and saying there was no censorship. Now we know from the weaponization hearings that all this is going on, and now they're telling us you can't vote for him because he said we won't let you vote for him. I mean,
Why is it, if the election was being stolen, why did every single person that Donald Trump trusted to investigate come back and say there was no evidence?
it wasn't every single one.
Every single, it was now, most of his legal counsel said
You just went in 2 seconds from everyone to most. Everyone, you got it again. Show
I
the
said that
circle
everything that
say
every single
Gotcha
person
again.
that Donald Trump trusted to investigate, meaning the Vice President, the Department of Justice, the Cybersecurity Division of the Department of Homeland Security, all of his White House counsel, I know how it works. I know you're farming TikTok clips, okay? That's what we're doing right now. But the reality is almost every single person that he asked
all of them.
to investigate.
Wait. 2 minutes ago, you said all of them.
That he
now
trusted.
it's almost.
He didn't ask Sidney Powell to
30
go and investigate.
No,
She
you-
brought cockamamie schemes to him, and he said,
you
"Oh,
just-
maybe these are okay."
you just
Which,
took a
by the way,
confidence
he
game.
also said
You
he
just
also
took a
said she
confidence
was
game.
crazy.
You just said all wouldn't say there was fraud.
That he,
now
I said,
most.
get the full quote, kind of like you're missing the rest of the 14th Amendment there. Get everything I'm saying. I know that hurts. I know that context hurts people like you. You live and you breathe 10-second clips.
You just
Anything longer than that destroys everything you're trying to
They're
claim.
telling us, no. They got you again. You just said all his lawyers told him he lost, and we're going to show you the majority saying he won. Gotcha.
Alex,
Gotcha.
tell us specifically.
Woo,
Alex,
yeah.
tell us specifically which lawyers said he that
Besides
actually
Eastman,
won.
Powell, and Giuliani,
And,
who is
yeah,
on
is
his
there
team
anybody
here
else?
claiming
Then
widespread election fraud?
Look,
What?
we're live on air.
I know we're live on air.
All these people are convicted and pleaded
We're gonna
guilty,
get
except
you.
Giuliani.
Folks, get him.
Let's ask.
Get him.
I want to ask Glenn.
Get
What do you
him.
think, man? Glenn, do you think that this thing was stolen?
I think the election was rigged. I'm not somebody who thinks that there's evidence conclusive that the election was stolen. I do think we should be a lot more attentive to when election processes get changed out of the blue, like, oh, because there's COVID, we're going to have a ton of new conventions for how we do mail-in ballots. I think there's a lot of potential for fraud there. I don't think there's evidence that I've seen, at least, that's conclusive that the 2020 election was stolen. I do think, though, it was rigged in all sorts of ways, from internet censorship to all kinds of interference on the part of the U.S. security state, lying and saying that a very incriminating story about Joe Biden was the byproduct of Russian disinformation when it absolutely was not. Facebook and Twitter censoring that story right before the election. These are all examples of corrupting rigging by institutions of authority. On the question of whether no, I don't. I'm not somebody who thinks there's evidence that it was stolen.
Well, how would you define the difference between rigging it and stealing it?
Rigging it is when institutions of authority cheat or act corruptly in order to manipulate public opinion to prevent stories from getting to them, like those news stories about Joe Biden and the way that he exploited his family connections in Ukraine and China to profit for his family, and lying about it and saying that it's Russian disinformation, censoring the internet to prevent stories from getting to the public, having the security state, the CIA and the FBI, that's supposed to have no role in our politics, being the ones to cook up those fabrications. That's all examples of rigging and manipulating our democracy the way that we accuse Russia of doing. The U.S. security state, the corporate media, Twitter and Facebook did that way, way worse. Stealing the election is dumping ballots that were legitimately cast, or fabricating ballots in favor of one candidate or the other that actually weren't cast, manipulating the machines in order to have the loser be the winner. That's what I would distinguish between rigging and stealing.
They tried to manipulate the machines.
Asking Jeffrey Clark to go and threaten the DOJ that if they don't sign on to a false letter, trying to bully states into claiming there was mass election fraud by claiming the DOJ had actually found someone that had it. That was testified to under oath.
Oh, God, under oath.
Do you think that would be considered an act of corruption?
The whole point is, if Trump legitimately believed that the election was stolen, as Democrats believed in 2000, 2004, 2016,
right. No, that's not right. It's not answering the question.
Then I'm answering the question. I just can't do it in 7 seconds. If Trump believed genuinely that the election was stolen, then all of those steps that he undertook to try and present the Congress the way to alleviate the stolen election, to have courts reverse the stolen election, to have Mike Pence exercise what he thought was his constitutional authority, might have been wrongful, but they weren't illegal, and they most definitely weren't a coup.
So if he thought that the election was stolen, he was allowed to tell the DOJ that they needed to sign on to a false letter claiming they'd found election fraud. Otherwise, he would replace Rosen with Clark. That was something he was allowed to do.
False letter.
Call Georgia. Remember the call to Georgia?
So the DOJ attesting that they had.
Oh my God! I just need.
That's right. I know. In this world, we need
11,780 votes. I just need you to find 11,780 votes. What about that?
Evidence, Alex. I'm sorry.
Oh, evidence. So
I know. Evidence for evidence. Yeah.
So 2 Men Have a Baby?
Isn't there a sitcom called 2 Men and a Baby?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
3 Men. It's a great movie.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. My bad.
No, but I mean, we're sitting here like, guys, they said it was worse than Pearl Harbor and 9/11. Like Glenn says,
Alex, you're fighting the demons up here. None of us are saying that.
Alex,
He's fighting back the demons.
You pointed out, the votes, they went up way at night. They went up way high. Trump was winning, and then all of a sudden, Biden pulled ahead at like 1 a.m.
Red Mirage.
Yeah. So, but do you understand that the media basically told the American public that this is what happens basically every election?
Yeah, they pre-programmed it at Red Mirage.
No. Do you understand?
No, it does happen every election.
Do you understand why that happened?
No, I'm not smart enough to understand. The trucks, when they shut down the polling places, and the trucks pulled in, and they blocked the windows out, and ran the same ballots over and over again.
Let me explain it to you.
Donald
Trump, for months before the election, he kept saying mail-in ballots are rigged. Don't vote by mail.
He was planting seeds
do
of
you
doubt.
think that Republicans are going to vote by mail if Trump says not to? So Republicans.
But that's chicken and the egg. Oh, let me finish.
Let me finish, and then you can. Republicans didn't vote by mail because Trump said, it's not safe. Democrats voted by mail. Mail-in votes were counted at the tail end of the vote count, as they always are. So what happens? So Trump pulls ahead early in the night, just like everybody said was going to happen if you were paying attention. They start counting the mail-in votes. Biden's moving up. They start counting more mail-in votes in these states that are in the big cities, which are primarily Democrats. what happens? Biden pulls way ahead in the big cities, just like everybody that was paying attention
Can I talk
would
now?
have,
Can I talk?
would have known.
Can I talk? That's why they had to all over the block the windows out, kick everybody out, claim water mains broke. Let me talk. And then magically on the surveillance cameras, just keep loading machines over and over again. But you're right.
You actually watch it?
Oh my God, dude.
You're right. No, I agree with you.
Dude.
Trump actually lost. So why are you so scared to let him
So
run?
I gotta do a disclaimer on YouTube. That's voter. That's misinformation right there. This channel is here to debunk this garbage. Of course, Alex Jones is a big fat fucking liar, and we do not endorse anything that Alex Jones says ever, because you can't trust a liar, right? That's what's up. That's why you guys watch this show. Billy says Alex is using Trump tactics, saying right or I gotcha in Pyrrhic victory, coming from Pyrrhus, a long ago king of Epirus, who suffered heavy casualties but claimed nobody died during his conquest. Huh. That's interesting. What was Watergate again? Who knows? All right, so we made an hour and a half into this thing. I think we should break this up into different things. So let's adjourn later, guys. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next show. Thank you guys so much. Remember, I'm at Nave's Garden on Twitter. I'm always tweeting stuff. So if you ever miss me, come on over to Twitter, guys. Download Twitter and also download Rumble. Come on over to Rumble. Let's see what's going on over there. All right, let's make that happen. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.